Have you ever stopped to notice how much noise fills your day? Not just the honking cars or the endless chatter on social media, but the constant stream of thoughts racing in your mind. It feels almost impossible to escape, doesn't it? The moment you wake up, there's a flood of notifications, tasks, and worries demanding your attention. Silence in today's world has become a luxury, one we rarely seek or appreciate. But within that silence lies something extraordinary, something far more powerful than any noise can offer. It's where clarity is born, where peace takes root, and where transformation begins. The world's most profound teachings often remind us that true answers come not when we shout louder, but when we learn to listen, not to others, but to ourselves. Let's take a moment to reflect on this. How often do we give ourselves the gift of stillness? In the chaos of life, silence can feel intimidating, even unnatural. But those who have embraced it know its incredible value. They find strength, resilience, and purpose, not because they escape the world, but because they meet themselves in a way they never could through noise. There's a story of a woman named Lila, and her life might sound familiar to you. Lila was what some would call successful. She had a busy career, a family she adored, and a phone that never stopped buzzing. But underneath it all, she was exhausted, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Every morning she woke up feeling like she was already running late, even when she wasn't. Lila's mind was a constant whirlwind. She would be in the middle of breakfast, but already planning dinner. At work, she struggled to focus because her thoughts were 3 steps ahead, worrying about deadlines that weren't even close. At night, when the world around her finally quieted down, her inner noise would take over. Regrets from the past, anxiety about the future. It was endless. One day, during a particularly overwhelming week, Lila's friend suggested something unusual. "Why don't you try sitting in silence for 10 minutes each day?" Lila laughed. 10 minutes? She barely had time to sit for lunch, let alone sit and do nothing. But that night, as she lay awake with her thoughts running wild, the idea came back to her. The next morning, before her family woke up, she decided to try it. She sat on the edge of her bed, closed her eyes, and just paused. At first, she felt awkward. Her mind immediately began listing tasks. Grocery shopping, a meeting at noon, picking up the kids. But she stayed. By the 3rd day, something started to shift. The noise in her head didn't go away entirely, but there was a new sense of awareness. She noticed the way her breath felt, the subtle sounds of the world waking up outside. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like she had to rush to meet the day. Weeks passed, and Lila's 10 minutes of silence became non-negotiable. The changes were subtle at first. She felt less reactive to stressful situations at work. When her kids spilled juice on the floor, she didn't snap. She just cleaned it up, realizing it wasn't the end of the world. Even her sleep improved. But the most profound change was harder to describe. Lila started to feel lighter, not because her problems disappeared, but because she finally gave herself the space to handle them. Her mind, once cluttered and chaotic, felt clearer, more focused. She no longer felt like life was dragging her forward against her will. Instead, she was steering, and silence was her compass. Lila's story isn't unique. It reflects a truth so many of us live with daily. We are surrounded by noise, external and internal, that keeps us from truly experiencing life. The modern world teaches us to keep moving, to hustle harder, to distract ourselves from discomfort. But the irony is that real strength, real peace, comes when we stop. Think of silence as a mirror. It doesn't distort or exaggerate. It simply reflects what is. When you allow yourself even a few moments of quiet, you start to see yourself clearly, your fears, your desires, your potential. It can be uncomfortable at first, but it's also liberating. The power of silence isn't about avoiding problems. It's about facing them with clarity. It's about realizing that the noise in your head doesn't define you. When you step into stillness, you gain the strength to respond to life instead of reacting to it. Even science agrees. Silence has a profound impact on the mind and body. Studies have shown that moments of stillness can lower stress, reduce anxiety, and even improve brain function. Neurologists have found that silence helps the brain process information more effectively, leading to better decision-making and emotional balance. But beyond the science, there's a spiritual depth to silence that ancient practices like Buddhism have long understood. The Buddha taught that silence isn't emptiness, it's fullness. In stillness, we connect with something greater than ourselves. We tap into a well of wisdom and compassion that noise can never reveal. This isn't about retreating from life. It's about living more fully, with intention and awareness. Silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of clarity. When Lila embraced silence, she didn't become a monk or renounce her responsibilities. She didn't escape her life. She found a better way to live it. Her story is a reminder that silence isn't reserved for spiritual masters or yogis on mountaintops. It's available to all of us, right here, right now. You don't need a special place or a perfect moment to begin. Silence can be found in the pause between breaths, in the few seconds before you answer a question, in the way you listen instead of talk. It's not about creating silence. It's about noticing the silence that's already there, waiting for you. Lila's journey began with just 10 minutes. Maybe yours starts with 5. The point isn't how long you sit in stillness, but that you start. Close your eyes. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Let the noise of the world fade, even if just for a moment. You don't have to change everything overnight. Small steps lead to big shifts. And who knows? In those quiet moments, you might just find the answers you've been searching for, not in the noise, but in the profound stillness of your own being. Let this be your moment to embrace silence, not as something to fear, but as something to cherish. A gift you give to yourself. A quiet revolution that starts not with words, but with presence. Because in that silence, there's a power that can change everything. Silence often holds a mysterious allure, yet most of us treat it like a stranger we're reluctant to meet. There's something about the absence of sound that feels unnerving, as though it reveals truths we're not ready to face. But beneath this discomfort lies something extraordinary, a doorway to clarity, resilience, and a sense of self often obscured by the noise of daily life. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a reservoir of possibilities, waiting to transform those brave enough to embrace it. In Buddhism, this concept isn't just philosophical. It's practical, profound, and deeply rooted in the practice of noble silence. Noble silence is more than the quieting of the tongue. It's a complete stilling of distractions, both external and internal. It begins by refraining from unnecessary speech, but its purpose goes far deeper. It cultivates a space where the mind can settle, thoughts can clarify, and the wisdom buried beneath the surface can emerge. This practice, taught and lived by the Buddha, has the power to revolutionize how we perceive ourselves and the world. The essence of noble silence lies in the intentional act of stepping away from verbal noise, not as a rejection of communication, but as a path to understanding. Words are tools, but they can also be barriers, limiting our ability to truly hear and connect. The Buddha often used silence to convey profound truths, not because he lacked answers, but because he understood that some answers cannot be explained. They must be experienced. In practicing noble silence, the first lesson is patience. The mind, accustomed to filling every quiet moment with chatter, resists the stillness. Yet, with time, the chaos settles, revealing an inner calm that feels almost sacred. This patience isn't passive. It's active engagement with the present, a conscious decision to stay with oneself instead of fleeing into distractions. As silence deepens, it becomes a mirror reflecting the contents of the mind. At first, the reflection might reveal restlessness or discomfort, but this is where transformation begins. Facing these inner disturbances without judgment allows them to dissolve. Noble silence teaches that silence isn't about escaping problems, but meeting them with clarity and courage. The practice also nurtures awareness of thoughts, emotions, and sensations. In the absence of verbal expression, the mind becomes more attuned to subtleties often overlooked. A simple breath, the warmth of sunlight on the skin, or the rustling of leaves can become profound experiences when fully noticed. This heightened awareness is not just about the external, it's about reconnecting with the self, understanding the mind's patterns, and breaking free from automatic reactions. In a world driven by constant communication, silence can feel counterintuitive. Yet, it is precisely this contrast that makes it powerful. In noble silence, we find the courage to step away from validation-seeking conversations and the pressure to fill every void with sound. Instead, we learn to embrace the beauty of pause, the richness of not knowing, and the humility of listening without interruption. One of the most significant benefits of noble silence is its role in cultivating mindfulness. When we are silent, the mind is less likely to wander aimlessly. It becomes easier to stay anchored in the present, observing thoughts and sensations without becoming entangled in them. This mindful presence creates a sense of spaciousness within, allowing us to respond to life with intention rather than impulsivity. Noble silence also fosters empathy and compassion. Without the distractions of words, we become more attuned to the emotions and needs of others. Silence creates a space for deeper connection, where we can truly listen, not just to what is said, but to what is felt. This is the silence that heals relationships, nurtures understanding, and strengthens bonds. In the Buddhist tradition, noble silence is not just a personal practice, it is a collective one. In monastic settings, silence is observed to create an environment conducive to meditation and reflection. This shared stillness amplifies its impact, creating a sense of unity and harmony that words often fail to achieve. The silence of a community is not emptiness, but fullness, a shared commitment to growth, peace, and insight. Practicing noble silence in daily life doesn't require a monastery or a retreat. It begins with small, intentional acts, pausing before speaking, refraining from unnecessary comments, or setting aside moments of quiet during the day. These practices, though simple, can have profound effects. Over time, they build a habit of mindfulness and self-awareness that extends beyond the moments of silence. Noble silence also teaches the value of letting go. In silence, we learn to release the need to control conversations, prove points, or defend ourselves. This letting go is not about surrendering power, but about finding strength in vulnerability. It's about trusting that silence can speak louder than words, that stillness can convey what speech cannot. For those new to noble silence, the initial stages may feel challenging. The mind, conditioned to seek stimulation, often rebels against stillness. But persistence brings rewards. The discomfort fades, replaced by a profound sense of peace and clarity. In this space, insights arise naturally, not as forced conclusions, but as gentle realizations born from stillness. Noble silence also helps us recognize the impermanence of thoughts and emotions. When we sit in silence, we see how feelings of anger, sadness, or joy arise and pass away like waves on the ocean. This awareness of impermanence fosters equanimity, the ability to remain balanced amid life's ups and downs. It reminds us that we are not our thoughts or emotions, but the awareness behind them. In modern life, where noise and distractions are constant, the practice of noble silence offers a refuge. It is a reminder that peace is not found in external circumstances, but within. It is an invitation to pause, reflect, and reconnect with what truly matters. By embracing silence, we create a space for growth, healing, and transformation. The Buddha's teachings on noble silence are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. They remind us that silence is not a void, but a doorway, a passage to deeper understanding, greater compassion, and lasting peace. It is in silence that we discover the truth of who we are, beyond the labels, roles, and expectations imposed by the world. As we continue exploring the profound power of silence, let it be a guide, a gentle reminder that the answers we seek are not out there, but within. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is the presence of everything we have been too distracted to notice. It is the stillness where life begins to unfold in its purest, most authentic form. Silence has an incredible way of uncovering truths that words often obscure. It allows us to see ourselves clearly, breaking through the noise of doubt, distraction, and confusion. From the practice of noble silence, we step into the realization that quieting the external world is just the beginning. True peace comes when we learn to quiet the inner storm, when silence becomes not merely the absence of sound, but a tool for restoring balance, finding clarity, and reclaiming the calm that so often eludes us in the chaos of modern life. Inner peace and clarity aren't lofty ideals reserved for monks on mountaintops. They're achievable states of mind, available to anyone willing to engage with stillness. Silence becomes a tool when we consciously use it to navigate our thoughts, regulate emotions, and discover the profound steadiness that exists beneath the turbulence. It's not about avoiding life's challenges, but learning how to face them with a quiet strength that words alone cannot provide. When silence is embraced, it becomes a sanctuary where the mind can rest. Every day, the brain is bombarded with endless streams of information, decisions, and emotions. This constant engagement leaves little room for introspection or recovery. Silence carves out the space needed to step back and see the bigger picture. It's in these pauses that clarity emerges, not through effort, but as a natural result of stepping away from noise. One of the most profound gifts of silence is its ability to bring awareness to patterns of thought. In the stillness, we begin to notice how often the mind clings to worries, replays past events, or fixates on the future. This awareness is not a judgment, but a gentle observation, and it's the first step in reclaiming peace. By recognizing these patterns, we can begin to loosen their grip and redirect our energy toward the present. Silence also has a unique way of dissolving stress. In the absence of constant stimulation, the nervous system has a chance to reset. The body relaxes, the breath deepens, and the mind slows. This physiological shift is not only calming but deeply restorative, allowing the body and mind to recover from the strain of daily life. Over time, these moments of quiet can lead to lasting changes in how we respond to stress, cultivating resilience and a sense of inner stability. Clarity often comes in the form of perspective, and silence is a master teacher of perspective. When we stop filling every moment with activity or conversation, we gain the space to reflect on what truly matters. The priorities we once thought were urgent may begin to feel less pressing, while deeper values and goals rise to the surface. This shift doesn't happen because we force it, but because silence naturally peels away the layers of distraction, revealing what lies beneath. In relationships, silence can be a powerful tool for connection. When we practice stillness, we become better listeners, not just to others, but to ourselves. This self-awareness enhances our ability to engage with others authentically and empathetically. By taking a step back from the need to react or dominate a conversation, we allow deeper understanding and harmony to flourish. Silence is also a gateway to creativity. Many of history's greatest thinkers and artists found their breakthroughs not in the middle of noisy brainstorming sessions, but in moments of solitude. The absence of external input creates a fertile ground for original ideas to emerge. In silence, the mind has room to explore, connect disparate thoughts, and give birth to something new. This isn't limited to artists. It applies to anyone seeking solutions or inspiration in their personal or professional life. The connection between silence and clarity becomes even more apparent in decision-making. Noise clouds judgment, while silence sharpens it. When faced with a difficult choice, stepping into silence allows us to weigh options without the interference of outside opinions or emotional reactivity. It's in these quiet moments that intuition often speaks the loudest, guiding us toward decisions aligned with our true selves. A significant aspect of using silence as a tool is learning how to integrate it into daily life. This doesn't mean retreating to a secluded environment, but finding small moments of stillness amid the noise. Pausing before responding in a conversation, setting aside time for quiet reflection, or simply being present with your breath are all ways to bring the power of silence into the everyday. These practices don't require drastic changes, but can yield transformative results over time. The relationship between silence and clarity is also evident in how it fosters emotional regulation. Silence gives us the opportunity to process emotions without being overwhelmed by them. When we sit quietly with our feelings, we learn to observe them as temporary states rather than fixed identities. This perspective creates space for healing and growth, reducing the intensity of negative emotions and amplifying positive ones. In a world driven by constant connection, silence may seem counterintuitive. Yet, it is precisely this contrast that makes it so powerful. Silence is not about disengaging from life, but about engaging with it more deeply. It invites us to slow down and notice the subtleties that noise drowns out. The texture of a moment, the beauty of a small gesture, the wisdom in a simple thought. The clarity gained through silence extends beyond the self. It affects how we engage with the world around us. When we are no longer consumed by internal noise, we can approach challenges with greater composure, make decisions with confidence, and interact with others from a place of understanding rather than reaction. Silence becomes a foundation for living with purpose and intention. Silence is also deeply nourishing. Just as the body needs rest to function optimally, the mind needs quiet to regenerate. This nourishment isn't passive. It actively strengthens the mind, building the capacity for focus, resilience, and insight. Over time, regular periods of silence can create a profound sense of well-being, making it easier to navigate the complexities of life with grace. For those new to silence, the initial experience may feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable. The absence of external distractions can make the mind's chatter seem louder, but this is not a sign of failure. It's a natural part of the process. The key is to stay with it, allowing the noise to settle and the deeper stillness to emerge. Each moment of quiet strengthens the ability to return to this state, creating a foundation for lasting peace. In its essence, silence is a form of freedom. It liberates us from the compulsion to fill every moment with activity or thought, offering instead the spaciousness to simply be. This freedom is not an escape, but a return to ourselves, to the present, and to the boundless clarity that lies within. By using silence as a tool, we cultivate a state of mind that is both peaceful and powerful. This is not a fleeting sense of calm, but a deep-rooted steadiness that carries us through life's challenges. It is a reminder that true clarity and peace are not found in the external world, but within, waiting to be uncovered in the quiet spaces we create. Silence, when embraced fully, becomes more than a tool. It becomes a way of living, anchored, intentional, and profoundly transformative. Silence not only creates space for peace and clarity, it also uncovers layers of the self that often go unnoticed amidst the noise of daily life. Beneath the surface distractions lies an unexplored depth, a realm where self-discovery begins. This connection between silence and self-awareness is profound, allowing us to engage with parts of ourselves we rarely acknowledge. Silence offers a unique opportunity to step inward, not as an escape, but as a way to meet ourselves with honesty and acceptance. Self-discovery isn't about searching for a new identity, but rather understanding the essence of who we are without external influences. Silence creates the conditions for this exploration by stripping away the expectations, judgments, and roles that often define us. In the quiet, there are no demands to meet, no personas to maintain, just a raw encounter with the truth of our being. This process is transformative, not because it adds something to us, but because it reveals what was always there. In silence, the mind begins to release its grip on superficial concerns, allowing deeper truths to surface. Thoughts that once seemed urgent fade into the background, revealing core values, desires, and fears. This unveiling can be both liberating and challenging, as silence often brings us face to face with aspects of ourselves we've ignored or resisted. Yet, it is in this confrontation that true growth begins. By meeting these parts of ourselves with compassion, we create space for healing and transformation. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to dissolve the illusions we hold about ourselves. We often define who we are based on external achievements, relationships, or societal standards. Silence, however, invites us to look beyond these constructs and question their validity. Are we truly defined by our job titles or the approval of others? In the stillness, we begin to see that our worth is not tied to these external markers, but rooted in something much deeper. This realization fosters a sense of authenticity. When we strip away the noise, we can connect with our genuine thoughts and feelings, unfiltered by outside opinions. Silence helps us recognize the difference between what we truly want and what we've been conditioned to pursue. This clarity allows us to align our actions with our authentic selves, creating a life that feels more meaningful and fulfilling. Silence also enhances self-awareness by sharpening our ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. In the absence of distractions, we can notice patterns, how we react to stress, what triggers our insecurities, or where our joy truly lies. This heightened awareness doesn't come from overthinking, but from a quiet observation that allows us to see ourselves clearly. With this understanding, we can make conscious choices rather than being driven by unconscious habits. Through silence, we also learn to embrace vulnerability. It takes courage to sit with oneself without distractions, to face the discomfort of unresolved emotions or unanswered questions. Yet, this vulnerability is where strength is born. By allowing ourselves to feel without judgment, we develop resilience and a deeper connection to our inner world. Silence becomes a practice of self-acceptance, teaching us that we don't need to fix or escape our feelings. They are simply part of the human experience. Silence is equally a space for creativity and exploration. When external noise fades, the mind has room to wander freely, connecting ideas in new and unexpected ways. This creative process isn't forced. It arises naturally in the openness that silence provides. In this state, we often discover hidden talents, passions, or solutions to challenges that seemed insurmountable. Silence doesn't just reveal who we are, it shows us what we're capable of. Another profound connection between silence and self-discovery lies in its ability to cultivate inner trust. In the noise of daily life, we often seek validation from others, doubting our instincts or second-guessing our decisions. Silence, however, allows us to reconnect with our intuition, the quiet voice within that guides us when we listen. This trust builds confidence, enabling us to navigate life with greater certainty and authenticity. Silence also deepens our understanding of purpose. By stepping away from the noise, we can reflect on what truly matters. What brings us joy? What contributions do we want to make to the world? These questions often go unanswered in the busyness of life, but in silence, they come to the forefront. Self-discovery is not just about understanding who we are, but also recognizing why we are here and how we can live with intention. In the process of self-discovery, silence helps us confront the stories we tell ourselves. These stories, about our limitations, failures, or worth, often shape our reality more than we realize. In the quiet, we can examine these narratives and decide whether they serve us or hold us back. By rewriting these stories, we free ourselves from self-imposed constraints and open the door to new possibilities. Silence also fosters gratitude and appreciation for the present moment. When we're not consumed by the noise of what's next, we can fully experience what is. This presence allows us to see beauty in simplicity. A sunrise, a shared smile, or the feeling of the ground beneath our feet. These moments, often overlooked in the rush of life, become reminders of the richness that exists in every day. One of the most transformative aspects of silence is its ability to connect us to something greater than ourselves. Whether it's a sense of spirituality, a connection to nature, or an awareness of the interconnectedness of all life, silence opens the door to experiences that transcend the individual. This connection brings a sense of peace and belonging, reminding us that we are part of a larger whole. Silence is not just a tool for self-discovery, It is a path to self-mastery. By consistently engaging with stillness, we develop a deeper understanding of our strengths, weaknesses, and potential. This self-knowledge becomes a foundation for growth, enabling us to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace. In silence, we don't just discover who we are, we learn how to become the best version of ourselves. The practice of silence also teaches us the value of letting go. In the quiet, we realize how much energy we spend holding on to things, grudges, regrets, or unrealistic expectations. Silence shows us that release is not a loss, but a liberation, creating space for new experiences and opportunities. This letting go is not about forgetting the past, but about freeing ourselves from its hold, allowing us to move forward with lightness and clarity. Through silence, we cultivate a sense of inner peace that is unshaken by external circumstances. This peace doesn't come from avoiding difficulties, but from understanding that our true essence is not defined by them. Silence reminds us that beneath the surface of life's challenges lies a steady, unchanging core, a place of calm that we can return to again and again. Silence and self-discovery are deeply intertwined, each enriching the other. As we explore the depths of stillness, we uncover truths about ourselves that empower us to live more authentically, compassionately, and intentionally. This journey is not always easy, but it is profoundly rewarding. In the quiet, we find not just answers, but a sense of wholeness that noise could never provide. Silence becomes a mirror, a guide, and ultimately, a home. A place where we meet ourselves and come away transformed. Silence naturally leads us inward, revealing truths about ourselves and the world around us. It is through this journey that we uncover the profound ways silence serves as a tool for clarity, self-discovery, and peace. Yet, silence does more than transform. It reflects. It becomes a mirror, holding up an unfiltered image of our inner selves and helping us see with precision what often remains hidden in the noise. This is where silence takes on its most profound role, not just as a practice, but as a revelation. When silence acts as a mirror for the mind, it reflects the nature of our thoughts and emotions in ways that words cannot capture. It holds no judgment, no distortion, only the raw truth of what we carry within. Sitting in stillness, we begin to see not just the chatter of our minds, but the deeper patterns, fears, and desires that shape our lives. What silence reveals can often be unsettling, but it is in this discomfort that growth begins. The first reflection silence offers is the realization of how our thoughts dominate us. In the absence of external distractions, the mind continues its habitual cycle, replaying past events, anticipating future worries, or clinging to unresolved emotions. These patterns, while subtle, often shape our reactions and decisions more than we realize. Silence makes these cycles visible, allowing us to understand and ultimately shift them. In this clarity, silence helps us recognize the mind's attachment to narratives, stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, or how the world works. Some of these stories empower us, but many hold us back, rooted in fear or limiting beliefs. Silence allows us to question these narratives, dismantling those that no longer serve us and creating space for new perspectives. The emotional insights gained through silence are equally transformative. Emotions, when left unexamined, can feel overwhelming or confusing, but in the stillness, we can trace them back to their origins. We begin to understand the connections between our emotions and the thoughts, expectations, or memories that trigger them. This understanding fosters a sense of mastery, not by suppressing emotions, but by learning to navigate them with compassion and clarity. Silence also reflects the fleeting nature of thoughts and feelings. In the quiet, we observe how quickly they arise, shift, and fade, like waves on the surface of the ocean. This impermanence is a powerful reminder that we're not defined by any single thought or emotion. Instead, we are the observer, the steady presence beneath the ever-changing surface. In its reflective role, silence exposes the mind's resistance to stillness. Initially, this resistance manifests as restlessness, a desire to check a phone, turn on music, or find something to occupy the mind. This discomfort is not a flaw, but a revelation. It highlights the mind's dependence on noise as a way to avoid deeper truths. By staying with this discomfort, we learn to move through it, discovering a profound stillness on the other side. One of the most profound gifts of silence as a mirror is how it sharpens self-awareness. By bringing attention to our habitual reactions, it creates the opportunity to respond consciously rather than react impulsively. For instance, a moment of silence before speaking allows us to choose words with intention, fostering clearer communication and deeper connection. As silence reflects the inner workings of the mind, it also reveals the strengths we often overlook: our resilience, intuition, and creativity. In the absence of external input, the mind has the freedom to explore, innovate, and connect ideas in ways that are often drowned out by noise. These moments of insight, born from stillness, can inspire solutions to challenges or spark new directions in life. The mirror of silence also extends to our relationships. In the quiet, we can revisit interactions with greater objectivity, noticing the dynamics at play and our own role within them. This reflection can illuminate areas for growth, whether it's developing more empathy, setting boundaries, or fostering deeper understanding with others. Silence fosters a deep connection to the present moment. It shows us how often the mind strays into the past or future, pulling us away from the here and now. By gently redirecting our attention to the present, silence cultivates mindfulness, a state of awareness that allows us to fully engage with life as it unfolds. This present moment awareness also deepens our appreciation for simplicity. In silence, we notice the richness of small details, the warmth of sunlight, the rhythm of our breath, or the stillness of the air. These moments, often overlooked in the busyness of life, remind us of the beauty and abundance that exist all around us. Silence reveals the ways in which we cling, not just to possessions or relationships, but to ideas, expectations, and identities. This clinging creates tension as we resist the natural flow of life. Through its quiet reflection, silence helps us let go, teaching us that release is not a loss, but a liberation. As a mirror, silence also highlights the interconnectedness of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It shows us how a single thought can ripple outward, influencing our mood, behavior, and interactions with others. This awareness empowers us to choose thoughts that uplift and inspire, rather than diminish or divide. Silence strengthens our connection to intuition. When external noise subsides, we can hear the quiet voice within that often knows what the rational mind cannot articulate. This inner guidance, accessed through stillness, helps us navigate life with greater clarity and confidence. The reflective power of silence extends to our sense of purpose. In the absence of distractions, we can explore what truly matters to us, our values, passions, and aspirations. This exploration isn't about finding definitive answers, but about aligning our lives with what feels authentic and meaningful. Through its revelations, silence teaches us self-compassion. It shows us that our imperfections are not flaws to be hidden, but aspects of our humanity to be embraced. By sitting with ourselves without judgment, we develop a deeper sense of acceptance and kindness toward who we are. The lessons of silence are not confined to personal growth. They ripple outward, influencing how we engage with the world. When we understand ourselves more fully, we bring greater clarity, empathy, and presence to our relationships and communities. Silence becomes not just a personal practice, but a gift we share with others. In its role as a mirror, silence is both a teacher and a companion. It doesn't impose answers, but invites us to discover them within ourselves. It shows us that the path to clarity, peace, and fulfillment is not found in adding more, but in stripping away what no longer serves us. In this way, silence becomes a guide, a gentle, unyielding force that reflects our deepest truths and helps us live more authentically. Silence holds up a mirror to the mind, revealing truths we often avoid. Yet, for many, this reflection is accompanied by discomfort or fear, a sense of unease that compels us to fill the void with noise or activity. This fear of silence isn't just about the absence of sound, it's about the vulnerability and self-confrontation that stillness brings. Overcoming this fear is not only a path to peace, but also a profound way to cultivate inner strength, resilience, and self-mastery. At its core, the fear of silence stems from the unfamiliar. In a world where constant noise and distractions are the norm, silence feels foreign, even threatening. It removes the barriers that shield us from our inner thoughts, emotions, and insecurities, leaving us face to face with ourselves. For many, this confrontation with the self can be intimidating, but it is also the gateway to growth. When we move beyond the discomfort and embrace silence, we find a depth of strength that can only be accessed through stillness. The first step in overcoming this fear is to acknowledge it without judgment. Fear thrives on avoidance, and the more we resist silence, the more power it holds over us. By naming the discomfort and accepting it as part of the process, we take away its ability to control us. This acknowledgement is an act of courage, a willingness to step into the unknown and trust that what lies on the other side is worth the journey. Silence teaches us to be present with our discomfort rather than running from it. The unease we feel in stillness often arises from unresolved emotions or thoughts. In silence, we have the opportunity to sit with these feelings, to explore them without distraction. This practice builds emotional resilience, teaching us that we can face discomfort without being overwhelmed by it. Over time, the fear diminishes, replaced by a sense of confidence and calm. One of the reasons silence can feel intimidating is that it exposes the mind's habitual chatter. In the absence of external noise, the internal noise becomes louder. But this noise is not something to fear. It's a reflection of the mind's natural activity. By observing this chatter without attaching to it, we begin to see it for what it is: temporary, ever-changing, and often inconsequential. This perspective helps us separate ourselves from the noise, cultivating a sense of inner peace. Silence also challenges our need for control. In the stillness, there are no external cues to guide our thoughts or actions. This lack of structure can feel unsettling, as it forces us to rely on ourselves rather than external validation or direction. Yet, it is in this very uncertainty that we find strength. By surrendering to the unknown, we learn to trust ourselves and the process. building a foundation of inner stability that is unshaken by external circumstances. As we confront the fear of silence, we also confront the fear of vulnerability. Silence removes the masks we wear to navigate the world, exposing the parts of ourselves we might prefer to hide. This vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a sign of strength. By embracing our whole selves, including our imperfections, we develop a deeper sense of self-compassion and authenticity. This acceptance frees us from the need to constantly prove ourselves, allowing us to live with greater ease and confidence. The fear of silence is often tied to a fear of loneliness. In the quiet, we might feel a sense of isolation, as though we are disconnected from others. But silence has the power to transform loneliness into solitude, a state of connection with oneself. Solitude is not about being alone, it is about being at peace with oneself. In this state, we discover that we are never truly alone, as we carry within us a source of strength, wisdom, and companionship. Silence also reveals the mind's attachment to external validation. In the absence of noise, we notice how often we seek approval, distraction, or reassurance from others. By letting go of this need, we reclaim our power, learning to find validation within ourselves. This shift builds confidence and independence, allowing us to navigate life on our terms rather than being swayed by external opinions. As we overcome the fear of silence, we also develop a greater tolerance for uncertainty. Silence teaches us to sit with the unknown, to resist the urge to fill the void with answers or solutions. This tolerance is a form of inner strength, as it allows us to face life's uncertainties with patience and grace. It reminds us that not everything needs to be resolved immediately, and that clarity often emerges in its own time. One of the most transformative aspects of overcoming the fear of silence is the sense of freedom it brings. When we no longer fear stillness, we are free to explore it fully, to experience its depth and richness. This freedom extends beyond silence, influencing how we approach life as a whole. We become less reactive, less driven by fear, and more grounded in the present moment. Silence also strengthens our connection to the body. In the absence of distractions, we become more attuned to physical sensations, the rhythm of the breath, the tension in the muscles, the beating of the heart. This awareness helps us release stress and cultivate a sense of relaxation and well-being. It reminds us that the body is a source of wisdom and resilience, capable of guiding us through challenges. The fear of silence often diminishes as we begin to see its benefits. The stillness that once felt threatening becomes a sanctuary, a place of refuge and renewal. In silence, we find the clarity to navigate life's complexities, the strength to face our fears, and the peace to be fully present. These gifts are not fleeting. They are lasting changes that transform how we live and engage with the world. By overcoming the fear of silence, we also transform our relationship with time. In the stillness, we realize that time is not something to be filled or wasted, but something to be experienced. This shift allows us to live more intentionally, savoring each moment rather than rushing through it. Silence teaches us that life's richness lies not in doing more, but in being more fully present. The process of overcoming the fear of silence is deeply personal, yet its impact extends beyond the individual. When we are at peace with ourselves, we bring greater calm and clarity to our relationships and communities. This ripple effect creates a sense of harmony, both within and around us. Silence, once feared, becomes a source of strength. It teaches us to face ourselves with courage, to embrace vulnerability with compassion, and to navigate life with resilience and grace. The journey to overcome the fear of silence is not easy, but it is profoundly rewarding. In the stillness, we discover not only the depth of silence, but the depth of our own strength. Silence, far from being something to fear, becomes a path to empowerment and transformation. Silence, once feared and now embraced, becomes a refuge, a space where the tension of daily life dissolves and strength emerges. But silence offers even more. It doesn't just build resilience or reveal truths. It actively heals. In the face of stress and anxiety, silence becomes an ally, a tool that gently but powerfully guides us back to balance. The noise of life, both external and internal, often feeds the cycle of stress, keeping us in a state of heightened tension. Silence, on the other hand, creates the space needed to interrupt this cycle, offering the mind and body a chance to reset. Stress thrives on overactivity, whether it's a mind racing with endless thoughts or a body caught in constant motion. Silence counteracts this by encouraging stillness, not just of the environment, but of the mind and heart. In this stillness, the nervous system begins to shift out of its stress response, releasing the grip of fight or flight mode. The body's natural relaxation processes take over, lowering heart rate, reducing cortisol levels, and calming the mind. This physiological change is not a surface-level effect. It creates a foundation for long-term well-being. Silence also interrupts the constant stream of mental chatter that often fuels anxiety. Worry tends to spiral when it goes unchecked, each thought building upon the last until it feels overwhelming. In silence, there's an opportunity to pause this spiral. The mind, no longer consumed by external stimuli, begins to settle. Thoughts slow down, creating space between them. This space allows for perspective, a chance to see worries not as insurmountable, but as manageable. By reducing mental clutter, silence fosters clarity, which is a powerful antidote to anxiety. When the mind is calm, it becomes easier to focus on solutions rather than problems. Silence doesn't eliminate challenges, but it equips us to approach them with a sense of calm and confidence. This clarity extends to emotional regulation as well. Anxiety often feels all-encompassing, but silence reveals that emotions, like thoughts, are transient. They come and go, and in the stillness we learn to observe them without becoming overwhelmed. One of the ways silence reduces stress is by helping us reconnect with the present moment. Stress and anxiety often arise from a fixation on what has already happened or what might happen next. Silence anchors us in the now. It brings attention to the rhythm of the breath, the sensations in the body, and the simplicity of just being. This mindfulness not only eases the mind, but also shifts the body into a state of relaxation, promoting healing on a deeper level. Silence also helps us recognize the root causes of stress. In the busyness of life, it's easy to focus on the symptoms, feeling overwhelmed, tense, or restless, without addressing the underlying issues. In the quiet, these causes become clearer. Whether it's an unresolved conflict, an unrealistic expectation, or an internalized fear, silence provides the space to identify and address what truly needs attention. Another profound way silence reduces stress is by cultivating a sense of control. Stress often stems from a feeling of powerlessness, of being at the mercy of circumstances or emotions. In silence, we regain a sense of agency. We learn that while we can't always control external events, we can control how we respond to them. This realization is empowering, reducing the intensity of stress and restoring a sense of calm. Silence also encourages a shift in perspective. When caught in stress or anxiety, it's easy to focus on what's wrong, amplifying negative emotions. Silence, however, creates room to notice what's right. The moments of peace, the resources we have, the support around us. This gratitude doesn't deny the existence of challenges, but offers a counterbalance, reminding us that there's more to life than the stress we feel in any given moment. The healing power of silence extends to the body. Chronic stress takes a toll on physical health, contributing to issues like high blood pressure, weakened immunity, and tension-related pain. Silence allows the body to enter a state of rest and repair. It's not just about feeling relaxed. It's about giving the body the time and space it needs to restore balance. Over time, these periods of stillness can improve overall health, making us more resilient to future stresses. Silence also deepens our connection to ourselves, which is essential for managing stress. In the rush of daily life, it's easy to lose touch with our needs, emotions, and boundaries. Silence helps us tune in, listening to the signals our body and mind are sending. This awareness allows us to respond to stress in healthier ways, whether that's by setting boundaries, seeking support, or simply taking a break when needed. In its stillness, silence reveals that much of the stress we carry is self-imposed. We often place unnecessary pressure on ourselves to meet expectations, achieve perfection, or stay constantly productive. Silence challenges these beliefs, encouraging us to let go of what no longer serves us. It teaches us that rest is not a weakness, but a vital part of balance and growth. Silence also enhances our ability to focus, which is particularly valuable in reducing stress. A scattered mind feels chaotic, adding to the sense of overwhelm. Silence, by quieting distractions, helps us direct our attention more effectively. This focus reduces the mental strain of multitasking or worrying about too many things at once, creating a sense of ease and efficiency. The relationship between silence and resilience is another key factor in managing stress and anxiety. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks, and silence strengthens this capacity by providing a space for reflection and renewal. In the stillness, we can process challenges, learn from them, and move forward with greater strength and clarity. Silence also fosters self-compassion, which is a powerful tool for reducing anxiety. Stress often involves a harsh inner dialogue, criticism, blame, or unrealistic demands. In the quiet, we have the opportunity to replace this dialogue with kindness and understanding. We learn to treat ourselves as we would a friend, offering support and encouragement rather than judgment. The grounding effect of silence is another way it reduces stress. Anxiety often feels like being untethered, caught in a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. Silence, by bringing us back to the present, anchors us. It reminds us that no matter how chaotic things feel, there is always a place of stillness within that we can return to. Silence also helps us connect with what truly matters. Stress often arises from being pulled in too many directions, trying to do or be everything at once. In the quiet, we can reflect on our priorities and align our actions with our values. This alignment reduces the tension of competing demands, creating a sense of peace and purpose. As silence calms the mind and body, it also strengthens our ability to cope with future stresses. It's not about eliminating stress entirely, that's impossible, but about building the inner resources to handle it more effectively. Silence becomes a practice, a habit that helps us navigate life with greater ease and grace. In embracing silence, we find that stress and anxiety lose their grip. The noise that once felt overwhelming fades, replaced by a sense of calm and clarity. Silence doesn't just reduce stress, it transforms how we experience it, showing us that peace is always within reach, even in the midst of life's challenges. As silence becomes a haven for reducing stress and cultivating resilience, it also reveals its greatest gift, the ability to fully embrace the present moment. In a world that constantly pulls us into the past or projects us into the future, the present often slips through our fingers, unnoticed and unappreciated. Silence brings us back to now, the only place where life truly unfolds. It teaches us to let go of the noise of what was and what could be, and instead opens the door to what is. Practicing silence is not about achieving something or arriving at a destination. It's about being. It is the art of surrendering to the moment without judgment or expectation, allowing it to unfold naturally. The present moment is rich with experiences, sensations, and insights, yet it is so often overshadowed by the distractions of a restless mind. Silence creates the space for these moments to be noticed, savored, and embraced. One of the most profound ways silence helps us connect to the present is by grounding us in the body. The mind, left unchecked, constantly pulls us into cycles of rumination or anticipation, but the body is always anchored in the here and now. By bringing awareness to physical sensations, the breath filling the lungs, the warmth of sunlight on the skin, the steady rhythm of a heartbeat, we create a bridge between silence and presence. This practice not only calms the mind, but also fosters a deep sense of gratitude for the simple, often overlooked aspects of life. Silence also sharpens our senses, heightening our awareness of the world around us. Without the distractions of constant chatter or noise, we begin to notice the subtleties that make each moment unique. The delicate rustling of leaves, the faint scent of rain in the air, the gentle variations in light and shadow. These details, often missed in the rush of daily life, become vivid reminders of the beauty that exists in every corner of the present. Practicing silence allows us to develop a relationship with time that is rooted in acceptance rather than resistance. Often, we treat time as an adversary, either wishing it would move faster or longing for it to slow down. In silence, we experience time differently, not as something to control, but as something to flow with. Each moment becomes a complete experience in itself, not a stepping stone to the next. This shift transforms how we approach life, reducing the tension of always striving and allowing us to simply be. In the stillness, silence teaches us to listen, not just to external sounds, but to the rhythms of life itself. Each moment carries its own energy, its own lessons, and its own opportunities. When we are present, we can attune to these rhythms, responding to life with greater intuition and grace. This presence creates a sense of harmony, both within ourselves and with the world around us. Silence also helps us uncover the patterns of resistance that keep us from embracing the present. Whether it's clinging to the past or fearing the future, these patterns often create a barrier between us and the now. In the quiet, we can observe these tendencies without judgment, gently letting them go. This release is not about forgetting or ignoring, but about creating space for what is real and alive in the current moment. Another way silence fosters presence is by slowing down our thoughts. The mind, when left unchecked, tends to race ahead, constantly planning, analyzing, or worrying. Silence offers a natural counterbalance, inviting the mind to pause and rest. In this pause, we find clarity, not by forcing it, but by allowing it to emerge from the stillness. Practicing silence also nurtures patience, a quality essential for fully embracing the present. In a culture that values instant results and constant productivity, silence reminds us that not everything needs to happen immediately. It teaches us to trust the process, to allow things to unfold in their own time. This patience extends to how we approach ourselves, others, and life's challenges, creating a sense of calm and acceptance. The connection between silence and presence is also evident in how it transforms our relationships. When we are truly present, we can engage with others more deeply and authentically. Silence allows us to listen, not just to words, but to emotions, gestures, and unspoken cues. This attentive presence fosters understanding and connection, strengthening bonds and creating a foundation of mutual respect and empathy. Silence reveals the richness of ordinary moments. In the quiet, even the most mundane activities, washing dishes, walking or sitting, become opportunities for mindfulness. These moments, often overlooked in the rush of life, take on new meaning when we approach them with presence. They remind us that joy and peace are not found in grand achievements, but in the simple act of being fully alive. The practice of silence also helps us navigate uncertainty with greater ease. The present moment is often clouded by fears of the unknown or the desire to control outcomes. Silence, by anchoring us in the now, teaches us to embrace uncertainty as a natural part of life. It shows us that we don't need to have all the answers to find peace. We simply need to trust in the unfolding of the moment. In the stillness, we also develop a deeper appreciation for impermanence. Each moment, no matter how fleeting, is unique and precious. Silence encourages us to honor this impermanence, to fully experience each moment without clinging or resisting. This awareness fosters a sense of gratitude, helping us see life as a series of gifts rather than a list of tasks or obligations. Silence creates space for creativity to flourish. When we are present, free from the distractions of past regrets or future worries, the mind becomes a fertile ground for new ideas and insights. This creativity is not limited to artistic pursuits. It extends to how we solve problems, connect with others, and approach life's challenges. In the present, we discover possibilities that were hidden in the noise. Practicing silence also enhances our ability to respond to life with intention. When we are fully present, we can choose our actions thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. This intentionality creates a sense of alignment between our values and our choices, fostering a life that feels more authentic and purposeful. Silence as a practice is deeply restorative. It nourishes the mind, body, and spirit, replenishing the energy depleted by constant activity and distraction. This restoration is not just physical, it is emotional and mental, creating a sense of wholeness and balance. In the present moment, we find not only peace, but also the strength to face whatever lies ahead. In the stillness of silence, the boundaries between self and world begin to blur. We become aware of our interconnectedness, seeing ourselves as part of a larger whole. This awareness fosters a sense of unity and compassion, reminding us that the present moment is not just ours, but shared with all of life. Practicing silence to embrace the present is not about perfection, it's about presence. It's about showing up fully without judgment or expectation and allowing life to unfold. This practice is simple yet profound, offering a path to peace, clarity, and connection that transcends the noise of the world. In the quiet, we discover that the present moment is enough, that it is, in fact, everything. The practice of embracing the present moment through silence reveals a profound truth. Our emotions, often so reactive and intense, can be transformed when we meet them with stillness. This transformation doesn't come from suppressing or ignoring feelings, but from engaging with them in a way that allows for clarity, understanding, and growth. Silence becomes not just a tool for observation, but a catalyst for reshaping how we experience and respond to emotions. In this stillness, we find the power to navigate even the most overwhelming feelings with grace and resilience. Emotions at their core are signals. They arise to inform us about our inner state and our interaction with the world around us. Yet, in the absence of stillness, these signals often get distorted by overthinking, judgment, or reactionary habits. Stillness creates the space needed to sit with emotions as they are, without rushing to label or act on them. This simple act of allowing emotions to exist without interference is the beginning of transformation. When we practice stillness, we slow down the reactive loop that often governs emotional responses. In moments of anger, fear, or frustration, the body and mind tend to react instinctively, driven by habits formed over years of conditioning. Stillness interrupts this cycle, providing a pause between the stimulus and the response. In this pause, we gain the opportunity to choose how we want to respond, rather than reacting impulsively. Silence and stillness also allow us to explore the root causes of our emotional reactions. Often, what seems like a surface-level trigger, an unkind word, a missed opportunity, or a perceived slight, has deeper layers. Beneath the initial reaction might lie unmet needs, unresolved pain, or long-held beliefs that influence how we feel. Stillness offers a safe space to peel back these layers, uncovering the underlying truths and allowing for healing to begin. One of the most powerful ways stillness transforms emotions is by shifting our perspective. In the quiet, we can step back from the intensity of the moment and see the bigger picture. A feeling that once felt overwhelming begins to lose its grip when viewed from this broader vantage point. Stillness reminds us that emotions, like thoughts, are temporary. They arise, reach their peak, and eventually subside. This impermanence is a liberating realization, showing us that no emotion, no matter how intense, defines us. Stillness also nurtures self-compassion, a key element in transforming emotional reactions. In the silence, we learn to approach our feelings with kindness rather than criticism. This gentle acceptance creates a space for emotions to be processed rather than resisted. When we stop fighting against our feelings, they lose their intensity, and we gain the clarity to understand and address them constructively. Through stillness, we also discover the power of the breath as a bridge between emotions and calm. Emotional reactions often manifest physically: tension in the body, a racing heart, or shallow breathing. By focusing on the breath in moments of stillness, we can regulate these physical responses, calming the body and, in turn, soothing the mind. The breath becomes an anchor, grounding us in the present and helping us navigate the waves of emotion with steadiness. Stillness transforms not only how we experience emotions, but also how we express them. In the quiet, we can reflect on whether our emotional responses align with our values and intentions. This reflection helps us communicate more thoughtfully, expressing our feelings in ways that foster connection and understanding rather than conflict. Stillness teaches us that emotional expression is not about suppressing or venting, but about sharing our truth with clarity and respect. Another profound shift that occurs through stillness is the ability to hold space for contradictory emotions. Life is rarely black and white, and our feelings often reflect this complexity. We might feel both joy and sadness, hope and fear, or love and anger at the same time. Stillness helps us sit with these contradictions without trying to resolve or eliminate them. It teaches us that emotions can coexist, enriching our experience rather than detracting from it. In moments of stillness, we also become more attuned to the emotions of others. By quieting our own inner noise, we can listen more deeply and empathetically to what others are feeling. This heightened awareness strengthens our relationships, fostering deeper connections and greater understanding. Stillness allows us to respond to others with compassion rather than reacting from our own emotional triggers. Stillness also helps us recognize the stories we attach to our emotions. For example, we might feel sadness and immediately weave a narrative about why things are hopeless or why we're not good enough. These stories often amplify the intensity of our feelings, trapping us in cycles of self-doubt or despair. In the quiet, we can see these stories for what they are, interpretations rather than facts. This awareness gives us the freedom to rewrite our narratives, choosing perspectives that empower rather than diminish us. The transformative power of stillness extends to how we approach difficult emotions like grief, anger, or fear. These feelings, while challenging, are also opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Stillness teaches us to face them with courage and openness, allowing them to move through us rather than becoming stuck. In this process, we often uncover hidden strengths, insights, and resilience. Stillness also reveals the interconnectedness of our emotions, thoughts, and actions. A moment of stillness might show us how a particular thought pattern fuels a recurring emotion, or how an emotional reaction influences our behavior. This awareness helps us break unhelpful cycles, replacing them with more constructive patterns that align with our values and intentions. The practice of stillness also teaches us the value of patience in navigating emotions. Feelings don't always resolve immediately, and stillness reminds us that it's okay to sit with discomfort for a while. This patience creates a sense of trust in the process, knowing that clarity and resolution will come in their own time. It also helps us avoid rushing into decisions or actions driven by temporary emotions, allowing for more thoughtful and intentional choices. In stillness, we also discover the importance of boundaries, not just with others, but with ourselves. Emotions can sometimes feel all-encompassing, pulling us into their intensity. Stillness helps us set boundaries with our feelings, recognizing that while they are valid and important, they do not define us. This perspective creates a sense of inner stability, allowing us to engage with our emotions without being overwhelmed by them. As stillness transforms our relationship with emotions, it also deepens our connection to joy and gratitude. By quieting the noise and distractions, we become more aware of the moments of beauty and connection that exist even in the midst of challenges. This awareness doesn't deny the difficulties of life, but balances them, reminding us of the richness and resilience of the human experience. The journey of transforming emotional reactions through stillness is not about achieving perfection or eliminating difficult feelings. It's about learning to meet our emotions with presence, curiosity, and compassion. In the quiet, we find that emotions are not obstacles but teachers, guiding us toward greater understanding, connection, and growth. Stillness becomes a sanctuary, a place where emotions can unfold and transform, leaving us stronger, wiser, and more deeply aligned with our true selves. As stillness transforms how we navigate emotions, it reveals something even more profound. a doorway to deeper self-awareness and personal growth. Silence doesn't just calm the mind, it creates a sacred space where the truth of who we are can emerge. It strips away distractions and expectations, uncovering the layers that often hide our essence. Through silence, we come face to face with our authentic selves, sparking a journey of discovery and transformation that leads to growth. Self-awareness begins with listening, and silence is the ultimate act of listening. It invites us to hear what we often ignore, the thoughts that linger beneath the surface, the emotions we've tucked away, and the patterns that shape our behavior. In this stillness, we start to understand ourselves in ways that go beyond labels or roles. We see not only our strengths, but also the areas where growth is needed, and this clarity becomes the foundation for meaningful change. Silence reveals the narratives we carry about ourselves and the world. These stories, often created over years, influence how we see ourselves, our relationships, and our potential. Some narratives empower us, but others limit us, rooted in fear, doubt, or past experiences. Through silence, we gain the perspective needed to question these narratives. Are they true? Do they serve us? In the quiet, we find the courage to let go of limiting beliefs and embrace new ones that align with our authentic selves. This process of self-awareness through silence also highlights the values that truly matter to us. In the noise of daily life, it's easy to lose sight of what's important, swept up in external pressures or societal expectations. Silence creates the space to reconnect with these core values, reminding us of what brings meaning and purpose to our lives. When we live in alignment with these values, we feel more grounded and fulfilled. Growth requires an honest look at where we are and where we want to go, and silence fosters this honesty. It strips away excuses and distractions, leaving us with the raw truth of our choices, actions, and intentions. This self-reflection isn't about judgment, but about understanding. It's a compassionate examination that helps us see where adjustments are needed to align our lives with our goals and aspirations. Through silence, we also become aware of the habits that shape our daily lives. These habits, whether mental, emotional, or behavioral, often operate below the level of conscious awareness. Silence brings them to light, showing us which ones support our growth and which ones hold us back. This awareness empowers us to make intentional changes, replacing unhelpful patterns with ones that nurture our well-being and development. Silence deepens our understanding of relationships, not just with others, but also with ourselves. It reveals the dynamics at play in our connections, highlighting areas where growth is needed. Perhaps it's the need for better boundaries, clearer communication, or greater empathy. By fostering this awareness, silence helps us create healthier, more authentic relationships that support our growth. One of the most profound ways silence fosters self-awareness is by revealing the gaps between how we see ourselves and how we act. We may think of ourselves as kind, patient, or courageous, but silence asks us to examine whether our actions reflect these qualities. This self-honesty is not about finding fault, but about bridging the gap between intention and behavior, creating a life that feels more authentic and aligned. Growth through silence also involves embracing vulnerability. Silence removes the masks we wear to navigate the world, exposing our fears, doubts, and insecurities. While this vulnerability can feel uncomfortable, it is also a source of strength. By acknowledging and accepting these parts of ourselves, we create the foundation for true growth and resilience. Vulnerability becomes a doorway to greater self-compassion and connection. Silence also teaches us to embrace uncertainty, an essential skill for growth. Life is full of unknowns, and growth often involves stepping into the unfamiliar. In the quiet, we learn to sit with this uncertainty without rushing to find answers or solutions. This practice builds trust in ourselves and in the process, helping us navigate change with confidence and grace. Through silence, we discover the importance of forgiveness, not just of others, but of ourselves. Growth requires letting go of past mistakes, regrets, and self-judgments. Silence creates the space for this release, allowing us to move forward unburdened by the weight of the past. Forgiveness becomes an act of self-liberation, opening the door to new possibilities. Silence also nurtures curiosity, a key driver of growth. In the stillness, we begin to question, explore, and wonder. What more is possible? What lies beyond our current understanding? This curiosity fuels a desire to learn and expand, propelling us forward on our journey of self-discovery and development. The connection between silence and self-awareness extends to how we set and pursue goals. In the quiet, we can reflect on whether our goals align with our values and aspirations, or whether they are driven by external pressures. This reflection helps us prioritize what truly matters, creating a sense of direction and purpose that supports sustainable growth. Silence reveals the interconnectedness of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It shows us how a single thought can influence how we feel and behave, and how these patterns shape our lives over time. This awareness is empowering, as it allows us to take control of these patterns, steering them in a direction that supports our growth and well-being. As silence fosters self-awareness, it also enhances our ability to adapt to change. Growth often involves letting go of old ways of being and embracing new ones, which can feel challenging. Silence helps us navigate these transitions with greater ease, offering a space to process emotions, reflect on lessons, and envision what lies ahead. In the quiet, we also develop a deeper appreciation for the present moment. Growth is not just about reaching future goals. It's about fully experiencing and learning from the journey. Silence reminds us that each moment offers an opportunity for growth, whether it's through a challenge, a joy, or a simple act of being. Silence creates a space where we can reconnect with our intuition. This inner guidance often gets drowned out by the noise of daily life, but in the stillness, it becomes clearer. Intuition helps us make decisions that align with our true selves, guiding us toward paths that support our growth and fulfillment. Through silence, we also discover the importance of balance in our growth journey. Growth is not about constant striving or perfection. It's about finding harmony between effort and rest, action and reflection. Silence teaches us to honor this balance, allowing for sustainable progress that nurtures both the mind and heart. The practice of silence also strengthens our resilience, an essential quality for growth. By teaching us to sit with discomfort, navigate uncertainty, and face ourselves with honesty, silence builds the inner strength needed to overcome challenges and pursue our goals with determination. As silence deepens our self-awareness, it also expands our capacity for empathy and connection. By understanding ourselves more fully, we become better equipped to understand and support others. This interconnected growth creates a ripple effect, enriching not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us. Silence, as a gateway to self-awareness and growth, is not just a practice, but a way of being. It invites us to step into the fullness of who we are, to embrace both our light and shadow, and to grow into the best version of ourselves. Through this journey, we discover that silence is not an absence, but a presence, an opening to the infinite possibilities within. With silence as a gateway to self-awareness and growth, the question arises: how can we weave this powerful practice into the fabric of our daily lives, especially in a world that seems to demand constant noise and activity? The truth is, silence isn't something we need to chase. It's something we can welcome, even in the busiest moments. It's not about finding perfect conditions, but creating pockets of stillness amidst the chaos, allowing us to reconnect with ourselves and the present. Integrating silence into a busy life begins with intention. Often, our schedules are filled with obligations that leave little room for quiet reflection, but silence doesn't require hours of dedicated time. It thrives in the small, mindful pauses we create throughout the day. Starting with simple moments, a few breaths before a meeting, a quiet minute before starting the car, or a peaceful moment while drinking tea, can make a profound difference. These moments act as anchors, grounding us in stillness no matter how hectic life becomes. Silence also finds its place in routines. Everyday activities like walking, cooking, or cleaning can become opportunities for quiet reflection when done mindfully. Turning off background noise and engaging fully with the task at hand transforms mundane activities into moments of calm. These practices remind us that silence isn't about escaping life, but engaging with it more deeply. For those who feel overwhelmed by busy schedules, starting with a single silent practice can be transformative. Setting aside just a few minutes each morning for silence creates a foundation for the day ahead. This practice can take many forms: sitting quietly, meditating, or simply observing the breath. What matters is consistency. Over time, this daily habit builds a sense of calm and focus that extends into other areas of life. Technology, while often a source of distraction, can also support the integration of silence. Setting reminders on a phone or smartwatch to pause and breathe creates a gentle nudge towards stillness. Apps designed for mindfulness and meditation can provide guidance and structure, especially for those new to the practice. However, it's equally important to balance the use of technology by creating tech-free moments where silence can truly flourish. One of the most effective ways to embrace daily silence is to create a dedicated space for it. This doesn't need to be elaborate. A quiet corner, a favorite chair, or even a spot in nature can serve as a sanctuary for stillness. The act of returning to this space regularly reinforces the habit, making it easier to prioritize silence amidst the demands of daily life. Silence can also be integrated into social interactions. Choosing to listen fully during conversations without interrupting or planning a response creates a shared moment of presence. This practice not only deepens connections with others, but also cultivates patience and empathy. It reminds us that silence isn't just personal, it's relational, enriching how we engage with the world around us. Nature offers another powerful avenue for silence. A short walk in a park, a moment spent gazing at the sky, or simply sitting among trees can bring a sense of peace and connection. Nature's rhythms have a way of quieting the mind and inviting stillness. Even in urban environments, finding small pockets of green space or moments to observe the natural world can create a sense of calm. For those with particularly demanding schedules, integrating silence might mean re-evaluating priorities, saying no to unnecessary commitments, setting boundaries, and carving out intentional time for rest are acts of self-care that create room for stillness. This doesn't mean neglecting responsibilities, but recognizing that silence is essential for maintaining balance and well-being. Group practices can also be a way to bring silence into daily life. Joining a meditation class, attending a retreat, or even practicing silence with family or friends fosters accountability and creates a sense of community. Sharing the experience of stillness with others can deepen its impact, reminding us that silence is not about isolation, but connection. The integration of silence can extend to transitions throughout the day. Pausing between tasks, whether it's at work or home, allows for a reset that brings clarity and focus. These brief moments of stillness act as bridges, helping us move through the day with greater ease and presence. They remind us that silence doesn't have to be lengthy to be meaningful. Sleep routines also offer an opportunity to embrace silence. Turning off screens, dimming lights, and creating a quiet environment before bed prepares the mind and body for rest. This practice not only improves sleep quality, but also fosters a sense of calm that carries into the next day. Silence, in this context, becomes a form of restoration. Integrating silence into a busy life also involves shifting our relationship with time. Instead of viewing silence as another task to add to a to-do list, we can see it as a gift we give ourselves. This perspective transforms the practice from something that feels burdensome to something that feels nourishing. It becomes a source of energy and clarity rather than an obligation. Mindful commuting offers another way to incorporate silence. Choosing to turn off the radio or put away the phone during a drive, walk, or train ride creates an opportunity for reflection. These moments of quiet amidst the bustle of travel can be surprisingly restorative, offering a chance to reconnect with oneself. Silence can also be woven into creative pursuits. Writing, drawing, or playing an instrument in a quiet space allows for a deeper connection to the process. Creativity thrives in stillness, where the mind has room to explore and express without distractions. These practices remind us that silence is not just about absence, but about creating space for what matters. The practice of silence extends to how we approach technology. Setting boundaries around screen time, choosing to unplug during meals or family gatherings, and creating tech-free zones in the home foster an environment where silence can thrive. These small shifts create a sense of balance, allowing us to engage with the digital world while still prioritizing presence and stillness. Integrating silence into a busy life also involves cultivating patience. The benefits of silence are not always immediate. They unfold gradually over time. Trusting this process and staying consistent with the practice builds resilience and deepens its impact. This patience extends to ourselves, allowing for growth without judgment or pressure. Silence, once integrated into daily life, begins to ripple outward. It influences how we think, feel, and interact, creating a sense of calm and clarity that touches every aspect of our lives. It reminds us that stillness is not something we need to seek. It's something we can create, even in the busiest of worlds. By embracing silence in small, intentional ways, we discover its transformative power and its ability to bring us back to ourselves, moment by moment. As silence becomes a part of daily life, its presence begins to reveal something far deeper, a connection to the spiritual essence within and beyond us. Silence is not merely the absence of noise, but a profound space where the soul speaks, where clarity emerges, and where the boundaries of the self dissolve into something greater. It is in this quiet that the journey toward enlightenment begins, not as a distant goal, but as an unfolding realization of truth, presence, and unity. The spiritual depth of silence lies in its ability to strip away illusions. In the stillness, the layers of identity, ego, and external definitions fall away, leaving the raw essence of being. This essence is not something that can be described or defined. It can only be experienced. Silence becomes the gateway to this experience, allowing us to touch the infinite within ourselves and feel the connection to all that exists. In silence, the mind begins to quiet its incessant chatter, creating space for awareness to deepen. This awareness is not confined to thoughts or emotions. It extends to the very fabric of existence. The stillness allows us to sense the rhythm of life, the flow of energy that moves through all things. This connection fosters a profound sense of unity, dissolving the barriers that separate us from others, from nature, and from the divine. Silence also reveals the impermanence of all things. In the quiet, we observe how thoughts, emotions, and sensations arise and fade like waves on the ocean. This impermanence is not something to fear, but a reminder of the ever-changing nature of life. It encourages us to let go of attachments and live with greater presence and acceptance. This surrender is not about giving up, but about opening up to the flow of life, to the wisdom of the moment, and to the infinite possibilities that silence holds. The path to enlightenment through silence is not about escaping the world, but about engaging with it more fully. Silence sharpens our perception, allowing us to see the sacred in the mundane and the extraordinary in the everyday. It reminds us that spirituality is not separate from life. It's woven into every moment, every breath, every heartbeat. In this awareness, even the simplest actions become acts of devotion and presence. Silence also teaches us humility, an essential quality on the path to enlightenment. In the quiet, we realize the limits of our understanding and the vastness of what lies beyond. This humility doesn't diminish us. It expands us, opening us to the wisdom that silence holds. It allows us to approach life with curiosity, wonder, and a willingness to learn from every experience. Through silence, we also encounter the divine within ourselves. This encounter is not about reaching for something outside of us, but about recognizing the sacred that already resides within. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting the light of our true nature and reminding us that we are not separate from the source of all things. This recognition is the essence of enlightenment, a knowing that transcends words and concepts. The spiritual depth of silence is also found in its ability to heal. In the stillness, we confront the wounds we carry, not with judgment, but with compassion. Silence creates the space for these wounds to be acknowledged, felt, and released. This healing is not just personal, it is universal, as it brings us closer to the wholeness that connects all beings. In silence, we also discover the power of presence. Enlightenment is often thought of as a destination, but silence shows us that it is a state of being, a way of living with full awareness, authenticity, and love. Presence is not something we achieve. It is something we return to again and again through the practice of silence. The journey of silence is one of paradoxes. It is both empty and full, still and dynamic, personal and universal. These paradoxes are not contradictions, but truths that can only be understood through experience. Silence invites us to sit with these paradoxes, to embrace the mystery of life rather than seeking to solve it. This embrace is the essence of spiritual depth, a surrender to the vastness of what is, Silence also deepens our connection to intuition. In the quiet, we hear the whispers of the soul, the guidance that comes from a place beyond logic or reason. This intuition is not separate from spirituality. It is an expression of it, a reminder that we are always supported and guided on our journey. Trusting this intuition is part of the path to enlightenment, as it leads us toward what is true and aligned. The spiritual practice of silence also fosters gratitude, a profound appreciation for life in all its forms. In the stillness, we see the interconnectedness of all things, the delicate balance that sustains existence. This awareness inspires gratitude, not just for the joys and blessings, but also for the challenges and lessons. Gratitude becomes a way of seeing, a lens through which we view the world with reverence and love. Silence teaches us that enlightenment is not about perfection, but about wholeness. It is not about rising above the human experience, but about embracing it fully with all its beauty and complexity. In the quiet, we come to see that enlightenment is not something we attain, but something we remember, a truth that has always been within us, waiting to be uncovered. The practice of silence also reveals the power of surrender. Enlightenment is not something we can force or control. It is something that unfolds naturally when we let go. This surrender is not passive. It is an active opening to what is, a willingness to trust the flow of life. In this surrender, we find freedom, not from life, but within it. Through silence, we also come to understand the nature of love. Love is not just an emotion or a relationship. It is the essence of existence. In the stillness, we feel this love, not as something we give or receive, but as something we are. This love is boundless, unconditional, and ever-present, connecting us to ourselves, to each other, and to the divine. The spiritual depth of silence is also reflected in its simplicity. In a world that often values complexity, silence reminds us that the most profound truths are often the simplest. It teaches us that enlightenment is not found in grand gestures or lofty ideas, but in the quiet moments of presence, connection, and being. As we embrace the spiritual practice of silence, we begin to see that it is not separate from life, but intertwined with it. Silence is the thread that connects the inner and outer worlds, the personal and the universal, the finite and the infinite. It is the space where enlightenment becomes not a goal, but a way of being, a life lived with awareness, compassion, and love. Through silence, we come home to ourselves and to the truth that we are never truly alone, for we are always connected to the sacredness of all that is. In the profound stillness that connects us to deeper truths, we find an undeniable question emerging. How can we preserve this sacred silence in a world that never seems to stop? The modern age, filled with endless noise and distractions, often feels like an assault on the senses, leaving little room for quiet reflection. Yet it is precisely within this chaos that silence becomes most vital, a refuge that offers clarity, grounding, and connection. Silence in modern life is not just a retreat. It is a necessity, a sanctuary that allows us to find balance and reclaim our sense of being. The constant hum of modern life, whether from technology, work demands, or social obligations, creates a background of noise that often goes unnoticed. This noise doesn't just surround us. It infiltrates our minds, keeping us perpetually engaged, reactive, and disconnected from ourselves. Silence, even in small doses, disrupts this cycle. It invites us to step back, to detach from the endless stream of inputs, and to reconnect with what truly matters. This act of stepping into silence is not an escape, but a deliberate act of presence. In the busyness of the modern world, silence becomes a form of rebellion, a way of saying no to the constant demands for our attention. By creating intentional moments of quiet, we reclaim agency over our lives. These moments don't need to be long or elaborate. Even a few breaths taken in stillness can create a profound shift. The power lies in the consistency, in choosing to prioritize silence as a cornerstone of well-being. Technology, while a source of noise, can also be a tool for fostering silence if used mindfully. Setting boundaries with devices, turning off notifications, creating tech-free times, or using apps that encourage mindfulness can carve out space for quiet. It's not about rejecting technology, but about using it intentionally, allowing it to support rather than dominate our lives. These boundaries create breathing room, a space where silence can flourish. Modern life often equates productivity with worth, leaving little room for rest or reflection. Silence challenges this narrative, reminding us that being is just as valuable as doing. In the quiet, we find permission to pause, to step off the treadmill of constant achievement and reconnect with ourselves. This pause is not a luxury, it is a necessity, a way to recharge and realign with our values and goals. Noise in modern life is not always external, it often comes from within. The mental chatter, the endless to-do lists, and the self-criticism can be just as loud as any external distraction. Silence provides a way to quiet this inner noise, to create a gap between thoughts where clarity and peace can emerge. This practice is not about eliminating thoughts, but about observing them without attachment, creating a sense of spaciousness within the mind. One of the most profound gifts of silence in modern life is its ability to enhance presence. In a world that pulls us in 1,000 directions, silence anchors us in the here and now. It sharpens our awareness, allowing us to fully engage with each moment. This presence doesn't just benefit us, it ripples outward, enriching our relationships, our work, and our connection to the world around us. Silence also fosters creativity, which is often stifled by the constant noise of modern life. In the stillness, ideas have room to surface, unburdened by distractions. This creative flow is not limited to artistic pursuits. It extends to problem-solving, innovation, and the way we navigate challenges. Silence becomes a wellspring of inspiration, reminding us that some of the best ideas emerge not from effort, but from ease. The practice of silence in modern life also cultivates resilience. The world's noise often feels overwhelming, but silence provides a counterbalance, a place to retreat and recharge. It builds inner strength, helping us face challenges with greater calm and clarity. This resilience is not about avoiding difficulties, but about approaching them with a grounded and centered presence. Silence also reconnects us to nature, which is often drowned out by the noise of modernity. Spending time in natural settings, away from the clamor of the city or the hum of technology, creates a profound sense of peace. The sounds of nature, the rustling of leaves, the flow of water, the call of birds, remind us of life's rhythms and our place within them. These moments of quiet connection ground us, fostering a sense of belonging and balance. Incorporating silence into modern life also involves re-evaluating priorities. The constant rush often leaves little room for what truly matters: connection, meaning, and joy. Silence creates the space to reflect on these priorities, to align our actions with our values, and to live with greater intention. It's a way of stepping out of autopilot and into a life that feels more authentic and fulfilling. Silence can also transform how we approach time. Modern life often feels like a race against the clock, with every moment accounted for. Silence invites us to experience time differently, not as something to be filled, but as something to be savored. It teaches us that time is not a resource to be spent, but a gift to be appreciated. This shift changes how we live, creating a sense of ease and flow. The integration of silence into modern life also enhances our relationships. In the quiet, we become better listeners, more attuned to the needs and emotions of others. This attentiveness deepens our connections, creating a foundation of trust and understanding. Silence in conversation is not a void. It's a space for genuine connection and presence. Silence also fosters gratitude, a quality often overshadowed by the noise of modern life. In the stillness, we become more aware of life's simple pleasures, the warmth of the sun, the taste of a meal, the presence of loved ones. This awareness inspires gratitude, which in turn creates a sense of abundance and joy. In the midst of modern noise, silence becomes a sanctuary. It's a place where we can return to ourselves, to the truth of who we are beneath the roles and expectations. This sanctuary is not separate from life. It is woven into it, accessible at any moment if we choose to seek it. By prioritizing silence, we create a foundation of peace and clarity that sustains us through the chaos. Silence in modern life is not about withdrawing from the world, but about engaging with it more fully. It's about finding the balance between activity and rest, noise and quiet, doing and being. This balance is not a fixed state, but an ongoing practice, one that evolves as we navigate the complexities of life. As we embrace silence in modern life, we discover that it is not an absence, but a presence. It is a space where we can listen, reflect, and grow. It reminds us that amidst the noise of the world, there is always a place of stillness within, a refuge that offers peace, clarity, and connection. Through this refuge, we find not only solace but strength, the ability to face the challenges of modern life with grace and resilience. Silence, far from being a luxury, becomes an essential part of living fully and authentically. In the quiet refuge of silence amidst modern chaos, we find an ancient path that offers timeless wisdom. The Buddha's teachings illuminate the profound relationship between silence and insight, showing that the deepest truths are not shouted or forced. They arise naturally, like a lotus blooming in still waters. Through silence, the Buddha demonstrated how to achieve clarity, understanding, and liberation. His life and teachings offer a guide for those seeking not only peace, but profound transformation. The Buddha understood that silence is a fertile ground for insight. It is within the stillness that the mind settles, allowing the fog of confusion and distraction to clear. Insight is not something we can force or fabricate. It's something that arises when the conditions are right. Silence creates those conditions by providing the space for deep observation and understanding. The mind, no longer preoccupied with endless chatter, begins to see things as they truly are, without distortion or judgment. Central to the Buddha's teachings is the idea of mindfulness, being fully present and aware of the moment. Silence is a natural partner to mindfulness, enhancing our ability to observe without interference. In the quiet, we become aware of the subtleties of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. This awareness is the first step toward insight, as it allows us to see patterns, motivations, and tendencies that often operate below the surface. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, aversion, and ignorance. Silence helps us examine these sources of suffering with clarity. When we sit in stillness, we can observe the ways we cling to desires, resist discomfort, or misunderstand reality. These observations are not about blame, but about understanding. Through this understanding, we begin to loosen the grip of these tendencies, creating space for freedom and peace. The practice of silence also aligns with the Buddha's emphasis on the middle way, a path of balance and moderation. In silence, we learn to navigate the extremes of indulgence and denial, finding a harmonious way of being. This balance extends to how we approach insight. Silence teaches us patience, showing that wisdom unfolds in its own time. It is not something we chase, but something we allow, trusting the process of growth and discovery. The Buddha's own journey to enlightenment offers a profound lesson in the power of silence. After years of seeking answers through external means, teachers, rituals, and extreme asceticism, he turned inward, sitting in quiet meditation beneath the Bodhi tree. It was in this stillness that he found the answers he sought, not through external knowledge, but through direct experience. This story reminds us that the most profound insights often come not from seeking outwardly, but from turning inward and listening to the wisdom within. Silence also plays a crucial role in cultivating compassion, a central aspect of the Buddha's teachings. In the stillness, we become more attuned to the suffering of ourselves and others. This awareness fosters a sense of connection and empathy, reminding us that all beings are interconnected. Through silence, we learn to respond to suffering with kindness and understanding rather than judgment or avoidance. Compassion, born of silence, becomes a source of healing and transformation. The Buddha often used silence as a teaching tool. When asked complex or abstract questions, he would sometimes remain silent, not out of evasion, but as a way to encourage deeper reflection. This silence was not empty. It was full of meaning, inviting the listener to explore the question themselves rather than seeking an external answer. This practice reminds us that silence is not passive. It is an active and powerful way of engaging with truth. Silence also supports the practice of detachment, another key teaching of the Buddha. In the quiet, we can observe how our attachments, whether to people, possessions, or ideas, create tension and suffering. This observation is not about rejection, but about understanding. Through silence, we learn to hold things lightly, appreciating them without clinging. This detachment is liberating, allowing us to move through life with greater ease and freedom. The Buddha emphasized the importance of right speech, speaking truthfully, kindly, and thoughtfully. Silence is an essential part of this practice, as it teaches us to pause before we speak, considering the impact of our words. In the quiet, we can reflect on whether our words are necessary, beneficial, and aligned with our values. This mindfulness of speech fosters harmony and understanding, both within ourselves and in our relationships. Through silence, we also gain insight into the nature of impermanence, a central tenet of the Buddha's teachings. In the stillness, we observe how everything, thoughts, emotions, sensations, arises and passes away. This observation is not just intellectual, it is experiential, showing us the transient nature of all things. This insight frees us from the fear of loss and the need for control, allowing us to live with greater acceptance and peace. The Buddha's teachings on mindfulness of the breath highlight the connection between silence and insight. By focusing on the natural rhythm of the breath, we anchor ourselves in the present moment, quieting the mind and opening the door to awareness. This practice is simple yet profound, offering a way to access the depth of silence no matter where we are or what we're experiencing. Silence also deepens our understanding of interdependence, another core teaching of the Buddha. In the quiet, we see how our thoughts, actions, and choices ripple outward, affecting others and the world around us. This awareness inspires a sense of responsibility and care, encouraging us to act with intention and compassion. Through silence, we come to understand that enlightenment is not just a personal journey, but a collective one. The Buddha taught that insight is not about accumulating knowledge, but about direct experience. Silence facilitates this experiential understanding by creating the space for us to engage fully with the present moment. It invites us to let go of preconceived notions and approach life with openness and curiosity. This openness is the essence of insight, a willingness to see things as they are rather than as we think they should be. Through silence, we also cultivate equanimity, a quality the Buddha described as essential for liberation. In the stillness, we learn to remain steady in the face of life's ups and downs, neither clinging to pleasure nor resisting pain. This balance is not indifference. It is a profound acceptance that allows us to engage with life from a place of peace and strength. The Buddha's teachings on meditation highlight the transformative power of silence. Meditation is not about emptying the mind, but about observing it with clarity and compassion. In the quiet of meditation, we see the patterns and habits that shape our experience, gaining insight into how to navigate them with wisdom. This practice is not separate from daily life. It is a way of bringing the depth of silence into everything we do. Silence also teaches us to trust the process of growth. The path to insight is not always linear or immediate. It unfolds in its own time. Through silence, we learn to be patient with ourselves and with the journey, recognizing that every moment, no matter how small, is part of the process. This trust fosters resilience and perseverance, qualities essential for achieving insight. The lessons from the Buddha remind us that silence is not an end, but a means, a tool for uncovering the truth, fostering compassion, and achieving liberation. It is a practice that transcends time and place, offering guidance and wisdom for all who seek it. In the quiet, we discover not only the path to enlightenment, but the realization that this path is already within us, waiting to be walked. As the Buddha's teachings illuminate the profound insights that silence can bring, they also reveal another powerful gift of quiet reflection, the cultivation of compassion and loving kindness. Silence, in its simplicity, softens the barriers that separate us from others and allows us to feel deeply connected to the shared experience of being human. In the stillness, the noise of judgment and defensiveness fades, making room for empathy, understanding, and a boundless love that transcends words. Compassion begins with presence, and silence is the ultimate form of presence. When we are silent, we give ourselves the space to listen, not only to others, but to ourselves. We begin to notice the subtle needs and struggles within, and this awareness fosters a sense of self-compassion. By offering ourselves kindness in moments of difficulty, we lay the foundation for extending that same kindness outward. Silence teaches us that compassion is not a one-way street. It flows in all directions, beginning with the self. Loving kindness, a central principle in many spiritual traditions, flourishes in the quiet moments where there is no agenda, no expectation, and no judgment. Silence creates an open field where love can grow, not as a transactional act, but as an unconditional offering. In the stillness, we realize that loving kindness is not something we do, it is something we are. This realization shifts how we approach relationships, transforming them into opportunities for connection and care. Through silence, we also come to understand the pain of others in a more profound way. The absence of noise allows us to tune in to the unspoken, to the emotions and experiences that words often fail to convey. This deep listening fosters empathy, a quality that is at the heart of compassion. By holding space for others in silence, we validate their feelings and experiences, creating an environment of safety and understanding. Silence also reveals the interconnectedness of all beings. When the distractions of the external world fade, we begin to sense the ways in which our lives are intertwined with those around us. This awareness dissolves the illusion of separateness, reminding us that the suffering of one is the suffering of all. Compassion arises naturally from this understanding, as we recognize that kindness to others is kindness to ourselves. In moments of silence, we are also confronted with our own biases, judgments, and fears, those internal barriers that limit our capacity for compassion. By sitting with these feelings without resistance, we create the opportunity to transform them. Silence doesn't suppress or deny these emotions. It gently dissolves them, allowing love and understanding to take their place. This process requires courage, but it is through facing these barriers that compassion deepens and expands. The practice of silence also enhances our ability to respond rather than react. In the noise of daily life, it's easy to act impulsively, driven by frustration or misunderstanding. Silence slows us down, creating a pause where we can choose our response thoughtfully. This mindful approach to interaction fosters loving kindness, as it prioritizes understanding and connection over conflict or defensiveness. Compassion and loving kindness are not limited to grand gestures. They are often found in the small, quiet moments of daily life. A gentle smile, a wordless act of support, or simply being present for someone in their time of need carries immense power. Silence helps us recognize these moments for what they are, opportunities to offer love and care without needing to announce or validate them. The cultivation of compassion through silence also extends to those who challenge us. It is easy to feel kindness toward those we love, but silence invites us to extend that kindness to those we find difficult. In the quiet, we can reflect on the shared humanity that connects us to even the most challenging individuals. We begin to see their struggles, fears, and pain, and this understanding softens our perspective. Compassion does not mean condoning harmful behavior, but it does mean recognizing the person beneath it. Silence also nurtures patience, a quality essential for practicing compassion and loving kindness. In the stillness, we learn to sit with discomfort, whether it arises from our own emotions or from witnessing the pain of others. This patience allows us to hold space for healing without rushing to fix or control. It reminds us that sometimes simply being present is the greatest gift we can offer. In the quiet, we also discover the importance of forgiveness. Compassion cannot thrive in a heart burdened by resentment or anger. Silence creates the space to examine these feelings, to acknowledge the hurt, and to let go of the need for retribution. Forgiveness does not erase the past, but it frees us from its hold, making room for love and understanding to flourish. Silence also deepens our connection to nature, which can be a powerful teacher of compassion and loving kindness. Observing the rhythms of the natural world, the way trees provide shade without expectation, the way rivers flow without complaint, reminds us of the selflessness inherent in life. This connection inspires us to embody those qualities, offering kindness without conditions and care without seeking recognition. Through silence, we come to understand that compassion and loving kindness are not finite resources. They are limitless. The more we give, the more we have to offer. This abundance is not something we create. It is something we uncover in the stillness. Silence shows us that love is not something we run out of. It is something we are continually renewed by. The practice of silence also helps us navigate the complexities of modern life with a compassionate heart. In a world that often feels divided and disconnected, silence becomes a way to bridge the gaps. It allows us to move beyond surface-level judgments and engage with others on a deeper, more human level. This connection fosters a sense of unity and belonging that is the essence of loving kindness. In the quiet, we also learn to celebrate the joy of others without envy or comparison. Silence shifts our focus from competition to connection, from scarcity to abundance. This celebration of others' happiness is a powerful expression of loving kindness, one that strengthens relationships and creates a ripple effect of positivity. The cultivation of compassion through silence is not about achieving perfection. It is about practicing presence. It is about showing up for ourselves and others with an open heart, even when it is difficult. Silence reminds us that compassion is not about fixing or solving. It is about being. It is about holding space for the full range of human experience, offering kindness and care in every moment. Through the practice of silence, we come to see that compassion and loving kindness are not separate from enlightenment or spiritual growth. They are integral to it. They are the ways in which we bring the insights of silence into the world, transforming not only ourselves, but also the lives of those we touch. In the stillness, we uncover the truth that love is not something we find. It is something we become. Silence, in its profound simplicity, shows us the way. As silence cultivates compassion and loving kindness, the next question naturally arises: how can we integrate this transformative practice into the flow of daily life? The challenge isn't the lack of opportunity, but the need for mindful intention. Silence is available in every moment, waiting for us to embrace it, to carve out spaces where peace and clarity can emerge amidst the rhythms of daily activity. The practice of silence is not about withdrawing from life, but about enriching it, finding depth in its simplest moments. Embracing silence begins with creating small rituals. A morning pause before the day begins can set the tone for everything that follows. By sitting quietly for a few minutes, focusing on the breath, or simply listening to the natural sounds around you, you start your day grounded and centered. These few moments of stillness build a foundation for navigating the day with calm and clarity, making it easier to face challenges without being overwhelmed. Another way to incorporate silence is through mindful transitions. Often we rush from one task to the next without pause, carrying the mental weight of unfinished thoughts and plans. Taking even 30 seconds to breathe and reset between activities creates a mental boundary that fosters presence and focus. These moments may seem small, but their cumulative impact is significant, allowing the mind to recharge and refocus throughout the day. For those who feel overwhelmed by external noise, creating a designated quiet space at home can be transformative. This doesn't require elaborate changes, simply a corner with a comfortable chair, perhaps a plant or a candle, where you can retreat for a few minutes of stillness. Returning to this space regularly trains the mind to associate it with calm and reflection, making it easier to slip into silence even when life feels chaotic. Technology often contributes to the noise of modern life, but it can also be managed to support silence. Setting specific times to unplug, whether during meals, before bed, or for a short period each afternoon, creates space for quiet. Turning off notifications and using tools like Do Not Disturb mode on devices reduces distractions and fosters intentional moments of stillness. These boundaries remind us that we control technology, not the other way around. Daily walks offer another opportunity to embrace silence. Walking without headphones or the urge to multitask allows you to connect with the world around you. The rhythm of your steps, the sound of the wind, and the feel of the ground beneath you all serve as anchors to the present moment. Walking in silence becomes more than exercise. It becomes a moving meditation, a chance to let go of mental clutter and simply be. Silence can also be woven into social interactions. Practicing deep listening, allowing others to speak without interruption or planning your response, creates moments of shared stillness. These pauses in conversation foster understanding and connection, reminding us that silence is as much about listening as it is about absence. It shifts the focus from reacting to genuinely hearing, creating deeper and more meaningful relationships. Mealtimes provide another natural opportunity for silence. Eating without distractions, savoring the flavors and textures of food, turns an everyday activity into a mindful practice. This simple act of focusing on the present moment not only cultivates silence, but also enhances gratitude, helping us appreciate the nourishment and effort behind each meal. For those new to silence, starting with guided practices can provide structure and support. Mindfulness apps, breathing exercises, or short meditations offer accessible ways to begin integrating silence into daily routines. These tools are particularly helpful in establishing consistency, guiding you until the practice becomes second nature. The key is to choose methods that resonate with you, making the experience enjoyable rather than a chore. Nature, too, is a powerful ally in cultivating silence. Even a few minutes spent observing the sky, listening to birdsong, or feeling the grass underfoot can create a profound sense of stillness. These moments reconnect us to the natural rhythms of life, grounding us in something larger than ourselves. Nature reminds us that silence is not an absence, but a presence, a way of being in harmony with the world around us. Integrating silence into a busy routine also involves reframing how we view downtime. Instead of filling every free moment with activity or entertainment, allowing yourself to simply sit and do nothing can be incredibly restorative. This doesn't mean laziness, it means giving the mind a chance to rest and recharge. In these moments of intentional quiet, creativity often flourishes and insights arise effortlessly. The breath is a powerful tool for accessing silence at any time. Taking a few conscious breaths, focusing on the inhale and exhale, creates an instant connection to the present. This practice is especially useful during stressful moments, providing a way to anchor yourself amidst the storm. The breath reminds us that silence is always available, even in the busiest or most challenging situations. Another way to embrace silence is through journaling. Writing down thoughts and reflections in a quiet space allows the mind to process and release what it holds. This practice is not about producing perfect prose, but about creating a dialogue with yourself, a way of exploring your inner world in the stillness. Journaling often reveals insights and clarity that might otherwise remain hidden. Evenings provide a natural time for silence as the day winds down. Turning off screens, dimming the lights, and sitting quietly before bed create a transition from the activity of the day to the restfulness of sleep. This practice not only enhances the quality of sleep, but also fosters a sense of closure and gratitude for the day that has passed. Incorporating silence into daily life also involves letting go of the need for constant input. In a world saturated with information, choosing to spend time without consuming media or engaging in conversation creates space for reflection. This doesn't mean avoiding the world, but approaching it with greater intention, choosing when to engage and when to rest in stillness. Group activities can also incorporate silence. Attending a meditation group, participating in a silent retreat, or even practicing quiet moments with family members fosters a sense of community around stillness. These shared experiences deepen the practice, reminding us that silence is not just personal, it is relational, a way of connecting with others on a deeper level. One of the most powerful ways to embrace silence is by approaching it with curiosity and openness. Rather than seeing it as something to be endured or achieved, viewing silence as an exploration transforms the experience. Each moment of quiet becomes an opportunity to discover something new about yourself, your surroundings, or the nature of life itself. Embracing silence in daily life is not about adding another task to your to-do list. It's about weaving stillness into the fabric of what you already do. It's about finding the pauses within the busyness, the calm within the noise. Silence is not separate from life. It is the thread that runs through it, waiting for us to notice and nurture it. Through these practices, silence becomes more than a momentary escape. It becomes a way of living, a foundation of presence and peace that supports every aspect of life. It reminds us that amidst the demands and distractions of the modern world, there is always a place within us that is quiet, still, and profoundly alive. By embracing silence in simple, intentional ways, we not only enrich our daily routines, but also deepen our connection to ourselves, others, and the world around us. From weaving silence into daily life to transforming how we connect with ourselves and others, the power of quiet reflection holds undeniable depth. But how does this abstract concept of stillness translate into tangible change? The answer lies in the lives it touches. There are countless stories of individuals who have found their way out of struggle, rediscovered purpose, and healed deep wounds, all through the transformative embrace of silence. These stories are not only inspiring but also a testament to silence's ability to unlock potential and reshape the course of a life. For one individual, silence became a lifeline during a time of overwhelming stress and burnout. Years of constant activity and external demands had dulled their sense of joy and connection. In desperation, they turned to a practice of silent meditation. At first, the quiet was uncomfortable, even unsettling. But as they continued to sit with themselves each day, the discomfort gave way to clarity. Thoughts that had once been tangled and chaotic began to settle, revealing insights about what truly mattered. Over time, this practice led to significant changes, not just in how they managed stress, but in how they approached life. They learned to set boundaries, prioritize self-care, and make decisions that aligned with their values. Another story highlights the healing power of silence after loss. Grieving the sudden death of a loved one, someone found that words and advice from others often felt hollow. Instead, they sought refuge in quiet walks through nature, where the silence felt less like an emptiness and more like a comforting presence. These moments of stillness allowed them to process their emotions without pressure or judgment, Over time, the quiet walks became a space for remembering, reflecting, and eventually finding peace. The silence didn't erase the pain, but it created room for healing, showing that it's possible to carry loss and joy together. For someone struggling with self-doubt, silence became a mirror that revealed their inner strength. Years of comparison and self-criticism had eroded their confidence, leaving them feeling stuck and inadequate. Through a daily journaling practice conducted in silence, they began to confront the stories they had been telling themselves. The act of sitting quietly and writing down their thoughts became a way to untangle the web of insecurities. They discovered that many of their beliefs were not rooted in truth, but in fear. By challenging these beliefs and replacing them with affirmations of self-worth, they began to rebuild their confidence. Silence, in this case, was not just a space for reflection, but a tool for transformation. Another profound example involves a couple who turned to silence to mend their strained relationship. Years of miscommunication and unresolved tension had created a distance between them. Instead of continuing to argue or avoid difficult conversations, they decided to practice intentional silence together. Each evening they spent 10 minutes sitting quietly, holding hands but not speaking. This shared stillness created a sense of connection that words could not. It allowed them to let go of blame and resentment, focusing instead on the bond they shared. Over time, this practice strengthened their relationship, helping them communicate with greater empathy and understanding. Silence has also been a powerful force for creativity and innovation. An artist struggling with a creative block found that stepping away from their work and spending time in silence unlocked new ideas. Instead of forcing inspiration, they allowed it to arise naturally during moments of stillness. Whether through meditation, quiet walks, or simply sitting in a calm space, they discovered that silence is a wellspring of creativity. This shift not only rejuvenated their artistic practice, but also deepened their connection to their craft. For someone facing a major life transition, silence became a compass. Unsure of their next steps after leaving a long-term career, they felt lost and uncertain. Through periods of quiet reflection, they began to tune into their inner voice, the one that had been drowned out by external expectations for years. The silence revealed passions and interests that had been neglected, guiding them toward a new path that felt authentic and fulfilling. This process was not without challenges, but it was through silence that they found the courage to embrace change. In another instance, silence provided a young parent with a way to navigate the chaos of raising children. Overwhelmed by the constant demands of caregiving, they started incorporating brief moments of quiet into their day. Whether during nap times or after bedtime, these moments became a sanctuary where they could reconnect with themselves. The practice not only improved their mental health, but also enhanced their parenting, as the calm they cultivated through silence allowed them to respond to their children with greater patience and love. For a teacher working in a high-stress environment, silence became a tool for cultivating presence and connection in the classroom. By starting each day with a moment of shared silence, they created an atmosphere of calm and focus for both themselves and their students. This simple practice helped reduce anxiety, improve attention, and foster a sense of community. The teacher found that silence was not just a personal practice, but a gift they could share with others, transforming the dynamics of the classroom. In a corporate setting, a business leader used silence to foster better decision-making and collaboration. Instead of rushing into meetings with predetermined agendas, they began each session with a brief period of quiet reflection. This pause allowed team members to gather their thoughts and approach discussions with clarity. The leader noticed that this practice led to more thoughtful contributions, reduced conflict, and increased creativity. Silence became a tool for collective wisdom, proving that its benefits extend beyond the individual to the group. Silence has also played a pivotal role in spiritual awakenings. For someone seeking a deeper sense of purpose, silence became a gateway to self-discovery and connection with the divine. Through silent retreats and daily meditation, they experienced moments of profound stillness where the boundaries of the self seemed to dissolve. These experiences were not about escaping reality, but about embracing it fully, with all its beauty and impermanence. The silence brought them closer to their truth, fostering a sense of peace and alignment that permeated every aspect of their life. For a person living with chronic pain, silence became a means of reclaiming their relationship with their body. Instead of resisting the pain or becoming consumed by frustration, they began practicing mindfulness in silence. By sitting with their sensations without judgment, they discovered a new way to relate to their experience. The pain didn't disappear, but the suffering associated with it lessened. Through silence, they found a sense of control and acceptance, proving that stillness can be a powerful ally in the face of adversity. These stories, though unique, share a common thread. Silence is not merely an absence, but a presence, one that creates space for transformation. Whether in moments of grief, self-discovery, healing, or connection, silence has the power to change lives. It reveals what words cannot, offering clarity, compassion, and a deeper sense of purpose. The lessons of these stories remind us that silence is not just a practice, but a way of being, one that opens the door to endless possibilities. From the lives transformed by silence, a profound truth becomes clear. Growth begins within. This is the essence of self-development, a journey where you shape your life not by what surrounds you, but by what lies inside. The teachings of Buddhism provide timeless wisdom for prioritizing self-growth, guiding us toward authenticity, resilience, and clarity. These insights are not theoretical ideals. They are practical tools to transform how we live, connect, and evolve. Self-growth in Buddhism starts with mindfulness. This practice is about being fully present in every moment, observing thoughts, emotions, and actions without judgment. Mindfulness creates a space where awareness can flourish, helping us see patterns and tendencies that often operate unconsciously. This clarity allows us to make intentional choices rather than reacting impulsively. When we embrace mindfulness, even simple acts like eating, walking, or breathing become opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Another key principle is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life, from joy to sorrow, is in constant flux. Recognizing this truth fosters resilience, helping us navigate change with grace. Instead of clinging to what feels secure or resisting what feels uncomfortable, we learn to flow with life's transitions. This doesn't mean passively accepting everything as it is, but understanding that growth often comes from letting go. Impermanence teaches us that self-growth isn't about accumulating more, but about releasing what no longer serves us. Buddhism also emphasizes the importance of self-awareness. This goes beyond recognizing surface-level traits and dives into understanding our core motivations, fears, and desires. Through meditation and reflection, we uncover the layers of conditioning that shape our behavior. Self-awareness is not about self-criticism, it's about self-compassion. It allows us to see ourselves clearly without judgment, creating a foundation for genuine transformation. Another vital lesson from Buddhist teachings is the role of intentionality. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It requires purpose and effort. Setting intentions aligns our actions with our values, ensuring that we move toward what truly matters. This isn't about rigid goal setting, but about living with a sense of direction. Intentionality helps us stay focused amidst distractions, reminding us that every choice contributes to the person we are becoming. The practice of loving kindness is another cornerstone of self-growth in Buddhism. By cultivating unconditional compassion for ourselves and others, we break free from the cycle of judgment and comparison. Loving kindness begins with self-acceptance, recognizing that growth doesn't come from self-loathing, but from self-love. When we approach ourselves with kindness, we create a nurturing environment where growth can thrive. This practice extends outward, fostering connections based on empathy and understanding rather than competition. Buddhism also teaches the value of patience in self-growth. Change doesn't happen overnight. It is a gradual process that unfolds over time. Patience allows us to embrace the journey without becoming discouraged by setbacks or slow progress. It reminds us that every step, no matter how small, contributes to the larger path of transformation. This patience is not passive but active, requiring consistent effort and trust in the process. Self-growth also involves embracing discomfort. In Buddhist teachings, suffering is seen as a teacher, offering valuable lessons about ourselves and the world. When we face challenges with openness rather than avoidance, we build resilience and inner strength. Discomfort becomes an opportunity for growth, showing us where we need to heal, change, or let go. This perspective shifts our relationship with pain, transforming it from an obstacle into a catalyst. Another profound insight is the importance of detachment. This doesn't mean withdrawing from life, but releasing the need to control outcomes. Detachment allows us to engage fully with the present moment without being weighed down by expectations or fears. It teaches us to find joy and fulfillment in the process rather than the result. This mindset creates freedom, allowing us to pursue growth without becoming entangled in the pressure of perfection. Buddhism also highlights the interconnectedness of all beings. Self-growth is not a solitary endeavor. It is deeply intertwined with how we relate to others. Our actions, thoughts, and words ripple outward, influencing those around us. This awareness inspires us to act with integrity and compassion, knowing that our growth contributes to the well-being of others. It also reminds us to seek support and community, recognizing that we grow stronger together. The practice of gratitude is another transformative tool for self-growth. By focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we cultivate a mindset of abundance and appreciation. Gratitude shifts our perspective, helping us see challenges as opportunities and setbacks as lessons. It creates a positive feedback loop, where the more we acknowledge our blessings, the more we attract growth and joy. Self-growth also requires courage. The path of transformation often involves stepping into the unknown, confronting fears, and challenging deeply held beliefs. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward despite it. Buddhism teaches that true bravery comes from within, from trusting ourselves and the process of growth. This courage is not about grand gestures, but about the quiet determination to keep going, even when the path feels uncertain. Another lesson is the importance of balance. Growth doesn't come from extremes, it comes from harmony. The middle way, a central principle in Buddhism, teaches us to navigate between indulgence and denial, action and rest, effort and surrender. Balance creates sustainability, ensuring that we can continue growing without burning out. It reminds us that self-care is not a luxury, but a necessity, a way of honoring the journey. Buddhist teachings also emphasize the role of perspective in self-growth. How we view ourselves and our experiences shapes our reality. By cultivating a mindset of curiosity and openness, we approach life as a continuous learning process. Perspective allows us to reframe challenges as opportunities, seeing setbacks not as failures, but as stepping stones. This shift in perception empowers us to grow with resilience and optimism. Finally, self-growth in Buddhism is deeply rooted in presence. Growth doesn't happen in the past or the future. It happens here and now. Presence invites us to engage fully with each moment, recognizing it as an opportunity for transformation. This practice of being fully alive in the present is both simple and profound, reminding us that growth is not a destination, but a way of being. Through these insights, Buddhist teachings offer a roadmap for self-growth that is both timeless and practical. They remind us that transformation is not about becoming someone else, but about uncovering who we already are. By prioritizing self-growth, we not only enrich our own lives, but also contribute to a world that is more compassionate, authentic, and whole. From prioritizing self-growth, we uncover a powerful truth. Our greatest strength lies in how we choose to face life's challenges. The Buddhist principle of acting as if nothing burns you offers a profound shift in perspective. It's not about denying difficulties or suppressing emotions, but about cultivating an unshakable inner calm that allows you to respond to life with resilience, clarity, and grace. This approach empowers you to walk through fire without being consumed by it, embodying a strength that transforms every obstacle into an opportunity for growth. Acting as if nothing burns, you begins with the practice of equanimity, a state of mental balance that remains steady regardless of external circumstances. Equanimity is not indifference. It is the ability to engage fully with life while maintaining a sense of inner peace. This balance comes from understanding that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can always choose how we respond. By grounding ourselves in this truth, we create a foundation of calm that remains unshaken even in the face of chaos. The teachings of Buddhism emphasize the importance of detachment in cultivating this mindset. Detachment is not about withdrawing from life, but about releasing the need to control outcomes. When we let go of expectations and embrace the present moment as it is, we free ourselves from the suffering caused by clinging or resisting. This detachment allows us to act with clarity and intention rather than reacting impulsively to circumstances. It is through this practice that we learn to navigate life's challenges with grace and composure. Compassion plays a vital role in this approach. Acting as if nothing burns you does not mean shutting yourself off from emotions or the experiences of others. Instead, it involves cultivating a deep sense of empathy that allows you to respond to pain, your own and others, with kindness and understanding. Compassion softens the edges of difficulty, reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles. It transforms adversity into an opportunity to connect, heal, and grow. Another essential aspect is mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment. When we face challenges, the mind often spirals into worry, fear, or regret. Mindfulness anchors us in the here and now, allowing us to observe our thoughts and emotions without being consumed by them. This awareness creates space for intentional responses rather than automatic reactions. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to approach difficulties with a sense of curiosity and openness, seeing them as opportunities to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world. Patience is another quality that strengthens this practice. Life's challenges often test our ability to endure, pushing us to the edge of our comfort zones. Patience allows us to sit with discomfort without rushing to fix or escape it. It teaches us to trust the process of growth, recognizing that transformation takes time. Through patience, we develop resilience, the ability to persevere through difficulties with a calm and steady heart. The practice of gratitude also supports this mindset. When we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we cultivate a sense of abundance and appreciation that diminishes the power of life's challenges. Gratitude shifts our perspective, helping us see difficulties as part of a larger picture that includes joy, love, and growth. This practice doesn't negate the reality of pain, but balances it with the recognition of life's blessings. Self-awareness is another cornerstone of acting as if nothing burns you. By understanding our triggers, patterns, and fears, we gain insight into how we respond to challenges. This awareness allows us to break free from reactive habits and choose responses that align with our values. It also helps us recognize the stories we tell ourselves about difficulty, replacing narratives of victimhood with ones of empowerment and possibility. The role of acceptance in this practice cannot be overstated. Acceptance is not about resigning ourselves to suffering, but about acknowledging reality as it is. When we resist what we cannot change, we create additional layers of suffering. Acceptance frees us from this resistance, allowing us to focus our energy on what we can control, our attitude, actions, and perspective. This shift creates a sense of peace, even in the midst of difficulty. Silence is a powerful ally in this approach. In the stillness, we find the clarity and strength to face challenges without being overwhelmed by them. Silence allows us to process emotions, reflect on our experiences, and reconnect with our inner wisdom. It reminds us that we are not defined by our circumstances, but by how we choose to meet them. Another key element is the practice of non-attachment. This involves releasing the need for validation, approval, or outcomes to define our sense of worth. Non-attachment doesn't mean apathy. It means finding fulfillment within ourselves rather than seeking it externally. This inner freedom empowers us to act with confidence and authenticity, regardless of external conditions. Acting as if nothing burns you also involves cultivating a sense of purpose. When we have a clear sense of why we do what we do, challenges become stepping stones rather than obstacles. Purpose gives us the strength to persevere, reminding us that every difficulty has the potential to deepen our understanding and resilience. It aligns our actions with our values, creating a sense of meaning that transcends immediate struggles. The role of perspective in this practice is profound. How we interpret our experiences shapes how we respond to them. By reframing challenges as opportunities for growth, we shift from a mindset of limitation to one of possibility. This doesn't mean ignoring pain, but seeing it as a teacher, a guide that shows us where we need to grow, heal, or change. Self-care is another essential aspect of this approach. Taking care of our physical, emotional, and mental well-being creates a foundation of strength that supports us through life's challenges. Self-care is not selfish. It's an act of self-respect that allows us to show up fully for ourselves and others. It reminds us that resilience is not about enduring endlessly, but about knowing when to rest, recharge, and seek support. Connection is also vital. Acting as if nothing burns you doesn't mean isolating yourself from others. In fact, it often involves leaning into relationships, seeking support, and offering it in return. Connection reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, and that together we can navigate challenges with greater ease and strength. The practice of joy sustains this mindset. Joy is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of gratitude, love, and purpose in the midst of it. By cultivating moments of joy, even in challenging times, we remind ourselves of life's beauty and resilience. Joy becomes a source of strength, a reminder that we are more than our struggles, and that life, in all its complexity, is worth embracing fully. Through these practices, the principle of acting as if nothing burns you becomes a way of living, not as a denial of life's difficulties, but as an affirmation of our ability to meet them with grace, strength, and wisdom. It is a path that transforms pain into growth, challenges into opportunities, and life itself into a profound and beautiful journey. As the strength of acting with resilience and calm transforms how we face life, the next layer of growth emerges: mastering the mind. The thoughts we hold shape our experiences, our emotions, and the path we walk. Buddhist wisdom offers profound tools for understanding and mastering the mind, not by controlling every thought, but by transforming how we engage with them. This mastery isn't about perfection, but about cultivating awareness, clarity, and intention in the ongoing dialogue within. Mastering your thoughts begins with observing them without attachment. Often, we identify so deeply with our thoughts that they dictate our emotions and actions. Buddhist teachings remind us that thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. They arise, linger, and fade. Observing them as temporary and impersonal removes their power to control us. Through mindfulness, we learn to notice the patterns of our thoughts, uncovering habitual stories and beliefs that shape our worldview. This awareness is the first step toward freedom, as it allows us to see thoughts for what they are: mental events, not absolute truths. A cornerstone of Buddhist wisdom is the understanding that what we focus on grows. If we dwell on negativity, fear, or judgment, those aspects become magnified. By consciously redirecting our focus to thoughts of gratitude, compassion, and possibility, we reshape our mental landscape. This practice doesn't deny difficult thoughts, but places them in a broader context, balancing challenges with acknowledgement of life's blessings. This intentional focus fosters resilience and optimism, creating a foundation for a more peaceful mind. Equanimity plays a crucial role in mastering thoughts. When the mind is calm and balanced, it becomes easier to navigate both positive and negative thoughts without being swept away by them. Equanimity is cultivated through practices like meditation, where we sit with whatever arises, neither clinging to pleasant thoughts nor resisting unpleasant ones. This practice builds mental stability, allowing us to remain steady and clear-headed even in the face of mental storms. Another essential principle is the practice of letting go. Clinging to thoughts, whether they are of past regrets, future anxieties, or current frustrations, creates unnecessary suffering. Buddhist wisdom teaches that letting go is not about suppressing thoughts, but about releasing their grip on our well-being. By acknowledging and then gently releasing thoughts that do not serve us, we create space for clarity and peace. Letting go is a continuous process, one that becomes easier with practice as we experience the freedom it brings. The role of compassion in mastering thoughts cannot be overstated. Often, our harshest critic is ourselves, and the thoughts we direct inward can be the most damaging. Buddhist teachings encourage self-compassion, a practice of treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer a friend. When we notice critical or self-defeating thoughts, responding with compassion softens their impact, replacing judgment with care. This shift transforms the inner dialogue, creating a supportive environment for growth and healing. Mindfulness of the present moment is another powerful tool for mastering the mind. Many of our thoughts are rooted in the past or future, pulling us away from the here and now. By anchoring ourselves in the present, through the breath, bodily sensations, or immediate surroundings, we interrupt the cycle of mental wandering. This practice doesn't eliminate thoughts, but grounds them in the reality of the present, reducing their power to overwhelm or distract. Another aspect of thought mastery is recognizing the impermanence of mental states. Thoughts and emotions are transient. They arise, peak, and fade. When we understand this, we become less attached to fleeting mental events. Even the most persistent worries or fears lose their hold when we see them as temporary. This awareness creates a sense of perspective, reminding us that no thought defines us or our experience. Meditation is a cornerstone of mastering the mind, providing a structured practice for observing and working with thoughts. In meditation, we sit with our thoughts, not to control them, but to understand their nature. Whether through focused attention, such as following the breath, or open awareness, where all thoughts are observed without attachment, meditation creates a space where we can engage with the mind intentionally. Over time, this practice builds mental discipline, clarity, and peace. The practice of right intention, one of the elements of the Noble Eightfold Path, also supports thought mastery. By aligning our intentions with values like kindness, generosity, and wisdom, we shape the direction of our thoughts. Right intention acts as a compass, guiding the mind toward positive and constructive patterns rather than destructive or harmful ones. This alignment not only benefits ourselves, but also those around us, as our thoughts influence our actions and relationships. Another profound insight is the understanding that thoughts are not fixed. Just as the mind can learn harmful patterns, it can also learn beneficial ones. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, echoes this Buddhist principle. Through consistent practice, we can cultivate new ways of thinking that support well-being and growth. This process requires patience and persistence, but demonstrates the mind's incredible capacity for change. Self-inquiry is another practice that deepens mastery over thoughts. By questioning the validity of our thoughts, asking whether they are true, helpful, or necessary, we break free from automatic mental habits. This inquiry doesn't mean dismissing all thoughts, but discerning which ones align with our values and contribute to our well-being. It creates a sense of agency, reminding us that we are not passive recipients of thoughts, but active participants in shaping them. The practice of gratitude also transforms how we engage with thoughts. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking to what is present, fostering a sense of contentment and abundance. When negative thoughts arise, gratitude acts as a counterbalance, reminding us of the goodness in our lives. This practice doesn't deny challenges, but places them within a broader context, creating a more balanced mental state. Connection to others also plays a role in thought mastery. Sharing our inner experiences with trusted friends, mentors, or communities provides perspective and support. Hearing others' stories reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, reducing the isolation that often accompanies challenging thoughts. This connection fosters compassion, not only for others, but also for ourselves. Acting with intention is another way to redirect and master thoughts. When the mind is restless or overwhelmed, engaging in purposeful activities, whether creative pursuits, acts of service, or physical movement, shifts the mental focus. These actions ground us in the present and remind us of our capacity to influence our state of mind. They also provide a sense of accomplishment and purpose, countering feelings of stagnation or doubt. The practice of silence continues to support thought mastery. In the quiet, we hear the mind's patterns more clearly, creating opportunities for insight and growth. Silence doesn't silence thoughts, but provides the space to observe and understand them without judgment. It is within this stillness that we find the clarity to navigate the mind's complexities with wisdom and ease. Through these teachings, mastering your thoughts becomes more than a practice. It becomes a way of living. It transforms how you experience challenges, connect with others, and understand yourself. Buddhist wisdom offers not just tools, but a perspective that empowers you to engage with the mind with compassion, intention, and grace. The journey is not about controlling the mind, but about aligning it with the deeper truths of peace, clarity, and authenticity. Building on the wisdom of mastering your thoughts, the teachings of Buddhism reveal principles that guide us toward living with resilience and balance. These principles are not just ideals to aspire to. They are practical tools for navigating the challenges of life. When understood and applied, they create an inner strength that allows us to remain unshaken, no matter the external circumstances. These timeless teachings hold the key to a life of peace, clarity, and unwavering authenticity. At the heart of these principles is the understanding of impermanence. Recognizing that all things are transient liberates us from the illusion of permanence. When we embrace this truth, we stop clinging to what is fleeting and resisting what is inevitable. This perspective fosters acceptance and adaptability, allowing us to move through change with grace rather than fear. Impermanence is not a source of despair, but a reminder to cherish the present and let go of unnecessary attachments. The principle of non-attachment expands this understanding. It teaches us to engage fully with life without becoming entangled in outcomes. Non-attachment doesn't mean indifference. It means experiencing joy, love, and connection without clinging to them as the source of our identity or happiness. This freedom allows us to appreciate life's gifts while remaining steady when circumstances shift. It creates a space where we can act with intention and integrity, free from the weight of dependency. Equanimity is another cornerstone of Buddhist teachings. It is the ability to maintain balance and calmness in the face of life's highs and lows. Equanimity arises from understanding that our worth is not tied to external validation or circumstances. This principle empowers us to respond to challenges with clarity rather than reactivity. By cultivating equanimity, we develop a sense of inner peace that is not swayed by success or failure, praise or criticism. The practice of mindfulness strengthens this resilience. Mindfulness is about being fully present in each moment, observing thoughts, emotions, and experiences without judgment. This awareness allows us to step back from automatic reactions and choose responses that align with our values. Mindfulness is not just a practice, but a way of living that fosters clarity, presence, and intentionality. It grounds us in the reality of the present, reducing the power of worry or regret. Compassion is a vital principle that softens the edges of life's challenges. By cultivating empathy for ourselves and others, we transform pain into connection.